Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and we are live Thursday. It's the new year. It's our first show actually being back from the new year. I hope everyone had a great New Year's Eve. We are back and we are fired up. Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings this weekend. We got Anzalone hyping up the defense. Aaron hyping up the defense. We got college football playoffs on. You know what? Watching football, I love it. I love watching, even though there's been some, we talked about it before the show, like this college football playoff's been a little weird. It has. Ohio State.
It has been weird, but I like
it. Has been weird.
Year.
It has. Like, I mean, you're seeing, like, how does this make sense? And I know you talked about this. You kind of explained this to me, but I'll say it on here too. It doesn't make sense to me that Penn State gets an either easier path than the best team in the nation. I don't understand how that makes any sense. You know, why does Oregon have to go through Ohio State? You know, like, how does that?
I think the seeding, everything, I'll say this with the college football stuff, I think just they need to figure it was like a year where it's like, let's test this out and see what's going on. It's such a weird setup. When you have 12 teams, when you go from 4 all the way to 12 teams, it's like you're going to have some things aren't going to be like perfect. And like I noticed it today. You have 4 teams. The top 4 teams, those are your 4 best teams essentially. All 4 of those teams lost. Every single one of them. You do not have one conference champion playing in the Final Four this year. Like, that it shouldn't be that way. And I don't know if that's more so one, like, maybe I don't know if that's like, hey, they just got the rankings wrong. That could be it, obviously. I think it's more so like there's a situation where, like, you got all of these teams who get 3 or 4 weeks off, and then the top 4 teams get a month off, and these other teams, they still get their weeks off, and they get time to rest and get guys back and heal up and get ready for these games, and then they get an extra game in to get ready and kind of fuel back up before they play, this second round game, which that just doesn't make sense to me. Me and Klotz actually were talking about it a little before. Like, in the NFL, typically, the 1 seed, they start off slow, but like the difference between that and this, it's like these teams also get time off, just like the top seeds do. Like, there shouldn't be any of that. Like, it's just a weird. They need to figure this thing out. They need to figure out the rankings. I know for Klotz and Ohio State, it's all good. But I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what happens with Ohio State, you win the Natty, whatever. I really don't care because Michigan beat you this year. So, we still beat you this year. So there's no
one will remember that 4th Michigan.
Everyone will.
No. Compared to a national championship, no. Sorry. In the first college football playoff,
you said nobody. I will. I'm one.
Hey,
I'm somebody.
Most people. Let me put it there. Most people. But I think outside of it, like, to your point, Boone, like, first seeds, like, remember the Kansas City Chiefs, first round bye, and then they're down 22 to the Houston Texans at halftime with Deshaun Watson and D-Hop, and they get things rolling again. I think when you look at this now, like you're saying, Boone, professional, now you're dealing with college kids. And a lot of these, like, this is NIL too, because this isn't a team where it's like, oh, these guys came up together. Yeah, they added some recruits. Like, look at Ohio State, for example. I know it's a little bit different because it worked in their favor, but if you look at that, like, they have returners on defense, but offensively, that is a completely different offense. The chemistry for some of these teams, especially if they're a little bit younger and they don't have that elite coach on the other side, I think it does play that factor of you don't know how to catch up. You haven't been in that situation before. And you see teams like Georgia, like, you look at Georgia, it's just Georgia isn't Georgia this year. Alabama isn't Alabama this year. Michigan isn't Michigan this year. Well, a lot of these teams, and you look at Oregon to start it off, they weren't Oregon in the first playoff game. And then you have them going up against the SMUs and Arizona States. In my opinion, I think you should have some of those teams that are legitimate. Like, I don't see how SMU's in this, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, no, you should have had at the end of the day, it should have been like, I know Bama lost to Michigan, but it should have been Bama, Ohio State. It should have been, you should have had an Ole Miss in there. Like, these SEC schools, like, you should have. It just And I think the bottom, like a lot of these teams start off so like Klotz, you were saying with Oregon, like there's Oregon is not a bad football team to where they should be spotting a team 34 points to start. And to me, it's because listen, Ohio State, they had 2 or 3 weeks off because they didn't play in their conference championship. They had a couple weeks even until the game versus Tennessee. You get 2 or 3 weeks to rest players. You get to play. You get to kind of get your back in your rhythm of coming off a couple week bye. You get everything going. Boom, you're in rhythm. You play the next week. Guess what? Guess who's not in rhythm? Guess who hasn't played in 3 or 4 weeks? Oregon. And you're coming off like a big time game from the Horseshoe versus Tennessee, and you're going on the road or you're going to the Rose Bowl, and Oregon just hasn't touched a football, obviously at practice. But like I think there's a sense of that to where it's like, how can you figure out how to make it a little bit more even and fair for these teams? That's maybe just me, just kind of I don't know. That's just my mindset on it. I could be completely wrong. Someone else could have a different thought, but I just think it's crazy that like the Oregon wouldn't have, like Ohio State's they're good. You guys are very good. Yeah. You're not 34-0 over Oregon that good. Like Oregon's a great football team. They're the number 1 team in the country.
Jeremiah Smith.
So obviously, but like I'm saying, like all right, I can do that, but obviously, like they're not. I hate that.
No, and
Boone's hating this right now.
No, I just hate, like, I'm trying to have a good convo here. We got Jeremiah.
Hey, don't lie though. Don't lie.
Very good player. Yeah, you're saying don't lie. I'm not lying because I didn't say he was bad. He's a great player. He's better than Marvin Harrison Jr. probably.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying, if this was roles reversed, we'd be dogging Klotzy right now. If Michigan was up in Oregon, we would be like
I'll even agree with you. Like it was
just like
not disappointing because obviously I'm an Ohio State fan, but for like the playoff, like this is the first college we've been dying to see this. Yeah. I wish it was more of a game. 34-8 at halftime. Like I literally was like,
I couldn't believe it.
I don't even need to watch it anymore. Like after Travion had that one play drive, I was like, they literally can do whatever they want. Like Oregon just simply did not show up today. I want a Notre Dame, Ohio State. I think that's probably the best because Texas love their defense offensively. I don't think Texas offensively has it in them. Like they go up against Ohio State next, but obviously I'm taking the Bucks. Texas even doesn't look like they did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say it now. Ohio State's clearly probably the favorite. I'm going to pull up a sports book right now. I don't know what I was just saying there. But I could probably pull up a sports book, and if you look at it, national champions, guess who's the favorite? Ohio State, plus 110, Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State. Like, that's your final four is Ohio State, which, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State. It should not be that. Like, it should not be that.
James Franklin's probably walking around with the biggest fucking chest on earth right now. And I hope somehow, some way, and I do think Notre Dame like wins, but I hope Marcus Freeman finds a way to just embarrass James Franklin. Because Marcus Freeman's in year 3, year 4?
Yeah.
And James Franklin's been around. He's got undoubtedly like the better recruitment staff, like to get into Penn State compared to get into Notre Dame, like levels. You got to get accepted into Notre Dame before you get a scholarship there.
Hey, Marcus Freeman got some flack early on. He's the youngest coach he's a great coach. Youngest coach in the Final Four, but I think by not a huge, it's a good margin though. He's in his 30s.
If you gave Marcus Freeman any slack at any point of his career, you'd
he's a great coach.
He's a great coach. He's been good. He's done a great job there over the last 3 or 4 years. And even like I'm sure people like were giving him slack when he lost to what was it, Illinois State? I can't remember who it was.
And
Northern Illinois. Yeah. Like I mean, you can give any coach slack, but like you could still know like, hey, Marcus Freeman's a great recruiter. Well, first of all, like great in the portal and great recruiter, and he's just a great head coach. Like today, some of the stuff that they did, dude. Like I don't know if you guys saw that 4th down. To where they had their punt unit on the field and then switched out real quick to their offense, had Georgia on their heels. Like they had to switch everything. And then like in the midst of all that, like to think to be able to go out there, just Georgia's in a blender and do a fake, do a hard count and they jump off sides and essentially end the football game. Like he is very, very, he's smart. He's good. Someone said it in the chat there. He's like Dan Campbell. He's a gritty head coach too. And he's young. People, in college, players love young coaches, man.
Yeah.
Hey, boys, I will say, you brought it up, Boone. Smart, good, grit. Sounds like a player that, Lions have. Very good player, but apparently not to coaches or players. and that's
That's
Kerby
insane.
Joseph. Missed the Pro Bowl. And for those who don't understand how the Pro Bowl voting works, Caleb asked me earlier, kind of because he was a little confused how this man didn't make the Pro Bowl. It's split between thirds. It's fans, coaches, players. Fans, he was in. I mean, you saw the voting. Kerby was on there. Players and coaches felt differently. Okay, so that's how that works. And you see a player here, and this is a great tweet. Xavier McKinney, who is a Pro Bowler, or will be a Pro Bowler. Look at the comparisons. And this is why, guys, I hate the Pro Bowl. It's to me, it's so dumb because the best players aren't always in the Pro Bowl. I saw a tweet Jordan Schultz put out, which he does very, very good work. Daniil Hunter, who's top 3 in pressures, second in sacks, having a great season, isn't even a Pro Bowler. That's why name recognition, all this stuff comes into play. Your name, what it means, all that stuff. If you're a guy like Kerby Joseph, who's leading the NFL in picks, and he's playing right now one of the best, if not the best safety, how in the hell do you not make a Pro Bowl? I think we can all agree what matters is all pro, what matters is Super Bowl. But this, to me, guys, is ridiculous. And this is why the Pro Bowl stinks, I will say. It's why it stinks.
I mean, we saw it last year, too. I don't know if you guys remember. You see the numbers there. I mean, Kerby is the number 1 graded safety in the NFL, coverage grade and overall grade, most interceptions, less receptions allowed, more solo tackles, everything across the board. He's been better at than Xavier McKinney. And I think there was a stretch of football, obviously the start of the season. I know you guys remember what Xavier McKinney was doing. He was unbelievable. He was playing at such a high level. But a guy like Kerby, who in every single primetime game, every time hey, we need you, he steps up and has made a play. And that's anytime he doesn't miss tackles. Anytime someone throws his way, it's it's incomplete essentially. It's just he's a dominant safety, and you would have to say he's probably, honestly, what's crazy, and you know what's going to happen is he's going to get voted onto the All-Pro team. It's literally going to be just like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Doesn't make the Pro Bowl. He's an alternate. Amon-Ra ended up getting in, but he's not going to get into the Pro Bowl, and he ends up getting voted on as whether first, second team safety. All-Pro safety. And you're going to look back and be like, how does that happen? Happened to Amon-Ra last year. I don't know if you guys remember in the NBA that one year. I think it might have been Marcus Saul, won Defensive Player of the Year and wasn't even on a defensive all defensive team. And it's how that's where I start to look at things and go, hey, how is this voting done? Media, coaches, players, does it just turn into a popularity contest on who gets in, who gets out? That's where it gets a little confusing. Even the fan vote. I think there needs to be a sense to where they need to kind of reel this stuff in, because as much as people are hey, who cares about the Pro Bowl? No one likes the Pro Bowl. There might not be playing in the all of this stuff, guys. One, if Kerby wants to be in the Hall of Fame one day, they do. I know they look at all pros and in award. Pro Bowls do get brought up into conversations like that. 2, contract wise, they do get looked at, and you're able to sit and say, hey, this guy's a Pro Bowler. This is how much money, when you're sitting in the room with your agent and you're hey, getting compared to how much. Yeah, when you're getting compared to how much other, safeties in the NFL that are at your level, Pro Bowl safeties, you want to be able to go to the team and the ownership and say, hey, this is how much we deserve to get paid because we were Pro Bowlers this year, or we are an All-Pro safety. And it's there is that sense of it. That is a thing. So that's where I like the snubs for the Pro Bowl teams, for All-Pro teams. That stuff matters. That stuff matters. And I don't know how it happens. Zay Flowers, no offense to Zay Flowers, this is a random shot. How is he in the Pro Bowl? I'm dead serious. You had a guy, Brian Thomas, and he has almost 1,200 yards, 5th in the NFL in yards, guys. Brian Thomas, 800 catches to 122 targets. Zay Flowers, 16th in the NFL in yards and gets in. Malik Neighbors has more yards than Zay Flowers. Trey McBride, I know he's not a runner or a receiver, but what are we doing here? Ladd McConkey and Garrett Wilson had more yards than Zay Flowers, and they both had more touchdowns and more catches than Zay Flowers. So it's I think they need to reevaluate, because, hey, if you're going to use this for contracts, if you're going to use it for Hall of Fame consideration, and people are going to look at that stuff now, and, obviously for bonuses and all of that and extensions on max deals, I think Pro or All Pros is where they you have to hit those marks. But when you do contracts, you get compared to your peers. And when they compare you, they go, hey, these are the yards and everything that they're in. These are the Pro Bowl. They are the Pro Bowl team. This is what they did. you need to redo this whole situation here. They need to figure this out. The NFL does. Back-to-back years, Lions players, Amon-Ra St. Brown gets snubbed, and then Kerby Joseph needs to get figured out. It does. It's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks that he didn't get in as far as a Pro Bowl, but I'm happy that he didn't because Kerby Joseph just had 2 interceptions last week on Monday Night Football. Now you have Sam Darnold in this Minnesota Vikings offense. And Booner, what did we talk about during the game? What do they need to keep rolling? They got to keep those momentum up. And a key part of that is this safety room. Obviously, Brian Branch had an interception, and I believe he had a forced fumble in both against the Minnesota Vikings when they matched up in Minnesota. Now they're coming to Detroit. Brian Branch hasn't made that much noise as far as turning the ball over and forcing turnovers, but Kerby Joseph has. And we see these stretches where when Kerby Joseph is on, it's not like he gets one pick in this game and then it'll kind of be like 3-4 weeks later, he'll get a pick. Like Kerby Joseph puts stretches of games where he's turning the ball over. Sam Darnold, he's going to need to take shots this week. So let Kerby Joseph get all the momentum he needs. Kerby Joseph knows he's a Pro Bowl safety. He knows that he's all-pro safety this year. If you want to give it to Xavier McKinney, that's fine because I'm sure a lot of the players do have that narrative around Kerby as a dirty player. Some of them are going to have that, so I'm sure that affected it some way. But he's a damn good football player. And if you want to keep adding like kind of chips against his shoulder saying he's not going to be able to do this, not going to be able to do this. He's not a Pro Bowl caliber safety. He's going to go out on Sunday night against the Vikings where they already have that turmoil and show you, hey, this is why I'm a Pro Bowl safety. I'd be willing to bet that Kerby Joseph has a game-changing play when the Detroit Lions need it most. So
I do get that too. Like I tweeted it out today. By the way, I tweeted it out and said, hey, none of that really matters. All that matters is like obviously the all pro, and then Super Bowl is like the number one thing that's like end of the list. That's all that typically matters. It's just at some point, it's like the Pro Bowl games. Like they're doing everything they can to try and fix this thing. Why don't you just start by trying to fix it? Fix the voting process. Simple as that. I think that's a good start.
I mean, and I just was thinking about this, and it's just crazy to think about this, honestly. And I want to bring up some comments here. I saw one. J-Rod says Kojo's getting Sue treatment, and that's the thing. Like the dirty player narrative. I mean, not really, because Sue made 5 Pro Bowls in like his first 7 years. Like I don't know what it is with Kerby Joseph. It's not being dirty. Like maybe, but that would be ridiculous. You know what's ridiculous? Tyler Huntley in 2022 made a Pro Bowl passing for 600 yards in 3 games.
It's crazy.
And had more interceptions than passing touchdowns. And he made a Pro Bowl. But Kerby Joseph leading the NFL in picks does not make a Pro Bowl. Like it's just, and you're right, Booner. The unfortunate part is it actually matters, like for guys' career. Like when you're up for the Hall of Fame, they look at, okay, this guy's a 10-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, MVP. Like they bring up the Pro Bowl. So like, it doesn't really matter. The Pro Bowl itself, like from fans, like I think it's stupid, but unfortunately it does. Like when players go to negotiate or players go to make the Hall of Fame, not that the Pro Bowl is the biggest thing, but it is a part of it. But like how does Tyler Huntley have more Pro Bowls than Kerby Joseph in their respective careers? That makes no sense to me. And Tyler Huntley's never passed for more than 3 touchdowns in a season. So like, what are we doing with this Pro Bowl stuff? It's the dumbest thing. It's so stupid. And that would mean Tyler Huntley got the fan vote and coaches or players voted. And he got in as an alternate. I know that, but still, like how
dead serious?
An alternate.
I know this. I know players should they know the best. When you start having players vote, guess what they're going to vote for? Their friends, like people that they're close with in the NFL. Like, hey, I work out with this guy in the offseason. Oh, he's had a good year. Let's get him a Pro Bowl. Let's do that. Guys, maybe I don't know if you can vote for the same team, but just people that you know. And maybe that's what happened with Kerby. Is coaches and players, they don't like him as much, and he's not close, and he just didn't get the votes. Because if you're playing at the level you're playing at, and 33% of the vote comes from the fans, and you're first in the fan vote, you would think like, hey, you're at the top to get in. You're right there. Like you just need a couple votes from the players and coaches. So it should have been there. So obviously there's something going on with the players and coaches vote. That's a little fishy to me. Like that's just what it is. I would love for them to release who every player voted for. Honestly, would love to see it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. It really is. Well, speaking of the defense, now that we're kind of out of the topic.
I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. And by the way, NBA All-Star Game 2. Joke. All right, we can move on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
The NBA's their whole thing, like let's try and change things to better them. The reason that they don't get views anymore is because they're trying. Adam Silver, whatever, he's trying to change everything. He's a joke of a commissioner. I'm sorry, Jeff. I know you probably like him. He's a joke.
Well, I probably like him.
I don't know. You just seem like a guy that will love Adam Silver. I don't know. You love LeBron.
I will say with Adam Silver,
ruined the NBA as well, Boone.
And by the way,
people think that they love him. Like he's so bad. He's such a bad commissioner. So bad.
You brought up Marc Gasol. You didn't bring up who that Defensive Player of the Award belonged to that year.
I don't remember.
That was LeBron James. That's what it should have been. But anyway, I digress.
In-season tournament, trash.
First team all defense. But yeah, the in-season tournament's ridiculous too.
NBA All-Star game switching to 4 teams. What are we like? Yeah. What is this? AAU tournament?
I didn't even see that. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's no longer East-West. It's no longer they tried to draft teams. Dude, you should have just kept it East-West from the jump. Never changed it. When you Klotz, it's one of those things in the NFL we talk about all the time. The more you try and change things, the worse it makes it. Keep things original, and it's that good. People look forward to it. I hate change. I hate it. The Pro Bowl, they should have kept all of it the same. I'm sorry. I'm just going. I feel like I'm an old man right now. I shouldn't be doing this.
No, well, it's all right, Boone.
Well, let's get to Alex Anzalone because Alex Anzalone was spotted practicing today with a, quote, pretty significant brace/cast per, of course, Detroit Online, which is Jeremy Reisman. Would be big for the Detroit Lions defense to get Anzo back for this Sunday's game versus the Vikings. Now, he did speak to the media as well. So Anzalone could play this weekend. Before we get to the video, do you guys think he plays? Like, just right now, where are you at? You think he plays on Sunday? You say, but okay. I'm with you. I think he plays.
The video we don't have, and I'll throw it out there for the people, is he's saying, like, hey, I'm not 100%. I'll play not 100%. He's like, there's not one player in the NFL right now that's 100%. So he's like, I'm going to go. Like, if I feel fine, it seems like he's going to go. That's just my thought. I think if he gets a couple more full practices in, I think Anzo's a go.
I agree. I think he plays.
Did you guys see what happened when he broke it? Broke.
Yeah, he's like I broke it.
He's played with the club before. Like, this dude's a fucking maniac. Like, Alex Anzalone wears that green dot, is a leader of that front seven outside Aiden Hutchinson for a reason. I think if there's an opportunity for him to get the number 1 seed in the division, lock up the NFC North, and I get a week to recover. Yeah, he's going to go out there and play because they just released Jamal Adams as well. So if you're making space in that linebacker room, I don't think you're just dropping a linebacker to not add one. I think Alex Anzalone, he's been saying, hey, I'm going to be coming back. And I think, even if it's a little bit sooner, he's somebody that if you have 75% of Alex Anzalone, it makes a difference, obviously, for the Detroits as far as an upgrade. And like, we saw Germ this week. Like, Germ
got taken off last week.
He was a liability out there at some point. So I think Alex Anzalone being out there would be huge.
Two quick things too, real quick on the Anzo stuff. Steve said he needs more full practice time. I think there's certain players who don't. Like, there's certain players to where obviously if you're already full practice, that probably means you've been conditioning and you've been going a little bit before they fully brought him back. So if he's full practice, he's probably a full go. Some guys like vets like Anzo, when they're full practice, like they're good. Like they're ready to go. Like they're probably game ready. It's just probably getting back in a rhythm with things. And a guy like him compared to like Germ, like Anzo doesn't need to get back into the things. Like he's good. He's one of the best in the league at his position. And Klotz, I said this on, I think it was when was the game? Monday night, Tuesday morning when we did the show. I don't know if you listened in, but the thing I'm messing with Anzo is, and I mean, we had the convo with Jeff in the post game. I know like some people think like, boom, he's just going to make a little bit of a jump for this defense. My thing with Anzo, and this is credit to you too, Klotz, and I'll admit it, like the significance of Alex Anzalone coming back. Like if you lost Jack and then he came back and then Anzo coming back, like I think Anzo's is like 100 times more significant than even like a Jack Campbell if he was down and he came back. Because like I was bringing it up, Klotz. He is an 8-9 year NFL vet. Like he has been in this league. The one thing I remember when we argued about the Jack Campbell and Anzo thing was AG came out, and you remember the linebacker. I remember you said the name. I couldn't remember on Tuesday, but he said Drew Brees versus like their Hall of Fame linebacker in practice.
Hold on. What?
You know it. You know it. But they said that in practice, they would just audible back and forth. They were playing chess. Yes. And he said they just, boom, he would check. They would just go back and forth at the highest level. And he said Anzo is now at that level as like a Hall of Famer that can just boom, boom, boom. And he, like, if a quarterback makes a play, boom, he's countering the call. And like, that's something that like Jack, skill wise, great. Love him. Anzo has that. Hey, I'm going to move the linemen, the defensive linemen, coverages, everything. Like that's something I think the Lions have been missing a lot, and it's been shown in run defense. It's and pass, everything, and coverage. With Anzo coming back, like Klotzy, that changes it. Like that, you just got that step up, and I think it's going to boost that defense up a little more if you have Anzo back there making those calls. So that's where I kind of my mindset went with it.
Well, let's hear from Anzo on the defense. He's sick of the non-believers. All right, so let's hear from Alex Anzalone on that. We'll take a listen to what he talked about today.
That's kind of growing that maybe the defense isn't good enough.
Shot to the dot.
Win a Super Bowl.
I think that's honestly, it's just one of those things that we have to do our part and limit points, and that's the number one goal as a defense. And we haven't been doing that recently, but at the same time, to say we're not good enough to win the Super Bowl, I think that's pretty dumb.
That's kind of growing.
Oh, he said pretty dumb. If you don't think this defense can win a Super Bowl, yeah. Let me say this.
You're on the stand.
This is tough because I'm going at a fellow Italian. Okay, so I'm not going to go at him, but we're disagree here, Alex. Okay, and I know you play in the NFL. I don't want to run into you in an alleyway. I'd rather not. He's a very good football player, but Alex Anzalone, what else do you guys expect him to say? I mean, seriously. I mean, are we surprised that Alex Anzalone said, yeah, they can win a Super Bowl? Do you think Alex Anzalone would look at the media and say, hey, we don't got enough, fellas? No, he's obviously going to have faith in this defense. Okay, so let's get that out the way. Now, let's look at what's actually happening. All right, let's look at what we've witnessed. We watched a non-playoff team without their wide receiver one, without their left tackle, who's very good, and with Brock Purdy, who's having the worst season of his career, drop 30-plus points on you. That just happened. Oh, and not to mention, against the teams you face that are actually respectable, you're giving up a lot of points. Okay, so the points we can all agree against the Packers, against the 49ers, throw them in there, but against the Bills, like these are respectable offensive head coaches, but respectable. 49ers lowest on that list. They've all scored 30-plus points on this defense, man. Like, so yes, should Anzalone feel any different? No, but are fans wrong to be concerned about the defense? Like, oh, that's dumb. I'm not going at Anzo, but like for people, all the fans be like, see, look at Anzo. Yeah. No, it's not dumb. Like fans should feel skeptical about a defense that gives up 30-plus points to Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall gets like $130.
Don't disrespect Ricky. Do not disrespect Ricky.
And you're going into not even arguably the biggest matchup of the entire year, regular season, because it's all on the line. And you're playing an offense that's very explosive. Like, yeah, fans should be looking at it like, damn, this is going to be a battle between two really good offenses. There's probably going to be a lot of points scored. Like, I haven't heard one person come out and say, yeah, this Lions defense this week, they're going to shut down this Vikings offense. I haven't heard one person. If you guys can find one, please tell me. There's a reason we think the over is going to hit this weekend. So
I never said that.
I love Anzo. I do. I don't hate him for what he said. Of course not. Of course he should say that. But like, are fans dumb for being concerned? No, not at all. Come on.
Boone?
You go ahead, Klotzy. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say this because I know Boone's going to be loading up. I don't think that I don't think that at this point the concern levels should increase at this point. Like, I think the Lions defense is what it is. And back to what Dan Campbell was saying, and this is why I think it's okay to be like, okay, the Lions' weakness is their defense. But when I just look around the NFC, I think they have enough. AFC is a different story if they had to go through the AFC. But when you talk about the NFC, they have enough to play complementary football. All it takes, and AG did talk about this, is this defense just needs to make timely plays. And Hefe, we talked about it on the stream a shit ton. But when the defense needs to make a third down stop, they're not going. They could allow 8 for 8 third downs. When it comes to that 9th third down that really matters, they're going to make that play. You saw it in the playoffs last year when Baker Mayfield, about minute 30 seconds left, drops back. Derek Barnes gets an interception to seal the game. Kerby Joseph last Monday night getting the 2 interceptions. And you go back even last year, I know different situations and everything, but this defense was terrible. And how did the game end? Minnesota, Detroit, it was a shootout. Ife Melifonwu gets a pick to seal the game. Aaron Glenn, I think he can disguise the game enough, especially with Anzo coming back here soon, where this defense will get shredded with yards. They'll be breaking more than they've been doing before. But when it matters, when that play needs to be made, I trust this defense enough to step up and do it because they still have playmakers, and this offense is not going to be stopped. Like if the Detroit Lions offense does drop a game, then okay, that's fine. That's where the defense get exposed. But you look at this offense, we talked about it after Monday night. You cannot stop this offense. You can't. Even if there's David Montgomery, you can't. So I'm not concerned about the defense anymore. Is it the weakness? Obviously. Does it lower the Super Bowl odds? Obviously. But I think at this point, this Detroit Lions team is right up there with the Philadelphia Eagles, even with the injuries, for the number 1 team in the NFC. Like, I understand the Vikings are there. If you're asking me, who are you more worried about, Vikings, Eagles? I'm going to go with the Eagles because they have the experience. But I still think this Lions team, the number 1 team in the NFC. So is it concerning? Yes, that's their weakness. But you look around the NFL, Rams, what's their weakness? Defense. Bills are letting up a shit ton of points, and they're the ones that everybody's saying is going to walk out of the AFC. They have Josh Allen, but the Lions offense and the Bills offense stride for stride. So I'm not too panicked about it anymore after seeing how they adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Klotz. I can't. I mean, he said it pretty good there, Jeff. I get like the worries, and I get like, hey, Brock Purdy had a great game. I'm going to be consistent with it, and I'm going to stay honest with the defense. Like, if you want to just keep saying, hey, they give up a ton of yards and a lot of points, but like realistically, like I'm not saying Anzo is going to come in and change everything. When every game Anzo played in, I just went back and looked like out of the games he played in this year, and like if you want to say, well, they didn't have, or he had Hutch. Didn't have Hutch for 6 of those games. Lions defense only gave up 18 points per game in that stretch of football. And I'm obviously not saying Anzo's the one. And I know you're missing a couple more pieces. But, like, again, I've been consistent all week long. Like, hey, when Anzo comes back, that defensive mindset, that is your leader. That's your vocal guy. That's the guy over the last 2 or 3 years who has been making play calls, who's been making audibles, coverage changes, blitz change, everything. That's him. He's been the one. And obviously, since he's gone down, you've seen a little uptick in offenses going up against this Lions defense. That's been what it was. And the fact, Jeff, and this is where I feel like a little bit, you should be a little bit more like, okay, this could not change fully, obviously, because you do have other pieces down. But, hey, this is a bigger piece that you're getting back because that is the heart of your defense. Like teams average 18 points per game against Anzo when he was playing on this defense. And that's with other injuries as well. That I'm not saying they were full defense when he was there, but there's guys like Carlton who are out in games, guys who, Germ's down, Derek Barnes down. Other guys are stepping up consistently. No Marcus Davenport, no Hutch, and they're still holding teams under 18 points per game. Like that is significant. That's significant. So obviously they're not going to go in there and hold them to 18 points a game again. But like some of these teams that you're seeing, like the 30 points, like. That first half, like, are we going to sit here and act like, yeah, that was concerning the first half. The second half, like, just as much as people want to take away what happened the first half, you should be looking at the second half as well and being like, okay, guys stepped up, made plays. And to Klotz's point, this was what it was last year down the stretch, where if defensively you can't stop, your Swiss cheese and you're giving up 1 million yards, what do you have to do? It's like this in college football. We see bad defenses win championships in college football sometimes because what do? You got to just find ways to get turnovers and just hold points down. Like yards don't matter. Jeff, that's why I'm a little shocked because I think me and you agreed on this early on in the season was, hey, you can give up 1 million yards, but the number one stat that really matters, because so many people were going at me on Twitter because they're like, oh, well, you're giving up, the second most passing yards in the NFL a game. And I was like, okay, tell me how many points per game are they giving up? 5th in the NFL. Okay, case closed. Like that's all that matters. That's it. And I know you gave up 30 to the 49ers and 29 or whatever to the Packers, but if you're finding a way to hold teams under that 30-point mark with this offense that you have, you're going to win every game. That's just a fact. And I know it's a different line for this defense. Typically, to win championships, Jeff, and Super Bowls, a defense has to hold teams under 24, 21. Like, that's just what it is. With the offense that you have, it's possible to say, hey, guys, I understand. Like, you just need to get held under 27, under 28, and we will take care of the rest. We'll go out there. We're going to get 3 or 4 touchdowns and some field goals for you, but you just need to hold them under this number. And it's different than it is for other teams that have to go win a championship. That's just what it is. So I don't think there's, like, for the people. I'm with Anzo a little bit. Like, why are we saying there's no chance in the world that you can't win a Super Bowl with this defense? Like, you can. Is it harder? Yes. Let's stop with the you can't do it. Let's get that out of our vocabulary.
Well, let's hear from AG, because AG talked about the defense as well. So let's get to him. Let's see what he had to say.
Doing what you're doing now. Absolutely, you can. Right. The thing is, I go back and I look at the Ravens. No one thought they could win a Super Bowl, but I don't know, they was averaging 13, 14 points a game, what Trent did for the quarterback, but they found ways to win. Right? I know New England had some defenses that wasn't top of the charts, and they won Super Bowls. New Orleans won the Super Bowl in 2009. The thing they had is like 36 takeaways, right? But they won a top defense going that year. So you damn right we can do it. The thing that we have to continue to do is make these impact plays that we've been making. We're going to continue to do that.
All right. So AG kind of responding to the criticisms as well. And to his point, like, takeaways are important. Okay. Takeaways are the big thing. Now, can this Lions defense continue to do it? They've proven they can keep getting takeaways. You know, they do that. So that helps, obviously. But they have to get these points down. That is, like, my biggest thing. I'm like, the scary thing is over the last 3 games, guys, and I know, 3 games, that would include the Bears game, right? I think. Yeah. So I kind of, like, all due respect, that doesn't, you don't even have that doesn't include the Packers game, obviously, that they gave up 30 plus. But let's just go last 3. They are top 4 in the NFL in highest points allowed last 3 games. Okay. But it's not that. It's who's around them. The Giants, Colts, and Panthers give up more points. Like, that's where they're at, you know? So, like, we got to get those points.
Let me ask you, what are the records of those teams? In those games. You're 3-1 in your last 4, and you've given up 30 plus points 3 times. But you're 3-1. So you're finding ways to win still. Like, your offense is that good. Finding
ways to win, which, again, the Lions have shown they can do that. But my concern is you're living right on the edge. You know, like, you're on the edge. It's to go on a Super Bowl run and win it, giving up 30 plus points a game. If they do it, which I'm not saying they can't, it's just going to be very hard. I would be impressed, very impressed. And I would give credit. I would say, you know what? I was wrong. They can do it. They did do it. But, like, man, it's going to be an uphill battle. Like, you got to get those points down. You can't be red zone defense. They have to be better. I mean, we went through the stats the last, like, couple games or 4 games. They're giving up like 82% to opponents in the red zone. 82% conversion rate.
Again, Jeff, this is where things start to change. I get, and this is where I think, like, the convo that we're having now, because of the person we just heard talk a second ago, Alex Anzalone. You've noticed since he's gone, and obviously Aleem too is a big factor, especially in the red zone. But like, you're getting one of your star guys back. So, like, okay, you're like, hey, we need to take a step forward right now. I saw someone in the chat say it. You're basically at your lowest right now defensively. And you just
I would agree with that.
And you just went 3-1 in that stretch of football. And you're telling me right now, with Anzo coming back, Germ going to get another week. I know how bad he was, but he's going to get another week, and you have Anzo potentially back. Hopefully more guys start to, you get a couple guys, maybe 1 or 2 more guys kind of filling in this roster here. They can only go up from here. And adding Alex Anzalone, who, again, I don't know. Again, I could say it 100 times and keep saying it. I don't know how you feel about him coming back. Like, it feels like a little bit you don't think he's going to make that big of an impact, which I disagree. I think he's going to make a bigger impact than people think. That he's going to come in, your red zone defense, which was top 5 in the NFL at one point up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. That is going to start changing again. It might not get back to where it was, but it's going to get back to, above average. And then you're going to look at, okay, points per game. Guess what else? You have a guy, Alex Anzalone, who is the heart and the vocal piece of your defense. He is going to put that defense in positions to be successful in those 3rd downs now going forward. Like, in 3rd downs, and this, again, not anything versus Jack Campbell there. You have a different guy calling plays, making audibles. That's a guy that's been in the league for 9 years, 8 years. You know it. And it's going to change that a little bit. Like, it's going to make a difference. And to me, like, those big downs, those big things, you now, instead of you being at a massive disadvantage, you get closer to a little bit more of an advantage to where, like, okay, now we can actually compete, and we can compete for getting third down stops.
I don't want this
to compete in the red zone now. And I think that's like a little bit like, okay, this should be uplifting a little bit, getting this guy back.
Real quick, I just want to say I don't want to make this. I'm not trying to diminish what Anzo means. Like, I think Anzo's the best, you know. But what I'm saying is it fair to expect him to like turn it all? I think there's more players I'm looking at besides Anzo to get it together. You know what I mean? Like,
I do agree. I think guys, the defensive line like has to get it together. But I just think like the coverages or like the
corner,
you know, corner. Yes, Terrion needs to figure it out quick.
Yeah.
But I just think like getting a guy like Anzo back maybe elevates some of these guys a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts guys in positions to where, hey, you need to start making plays. He's going to hopefully hold guys that one accountable, and two, put guys in the right positions, because he's going to be making calls and moving things around back there again. So you would think like, hey, he's done it for 3 years with this Lions defense under AG. I don't think you're diminishing him. I didn't mean to make it sound like that.
No, not you. I just want to make it clear for like, I don't want to diminish. I didn't think you were doing it.
What I want from you though, Jeff, is I just want you to realize a little bit like, hey, I get all the points you're saying. Facts, right? You're pulling out stats that are facts. Can't deny facts. It will go up though the next few weeks with Alex Anzalone returning. So that's where I think like you don't need this defense to be top 10 again. You really don't, because you have such a good offense. But they're playing bottom 10 in the NFL the last 3 or 4 weeks. You just need them to take a step forward. And if they, again, Jeff, what are they giving up? 30 points a game. Obviously, that 40-point Bills game is such an outlier. Let's say 30 points a game, like to the 49ers.
30. Yeah.
All you need to do is like, hey, you guys needed 2 possessions in the game, hold the team to a field goal or one more punt. And like a team's not beating the Detroit Lions scoring 27 points, 24 points. It will not happen.
Yeah.
It won't. So like you need to find 2 possessions in the game, which I think Ansel coming back, like you could get a third down stop and you can get a missed field goal with him back there doing that. I believe that. I truly do.
I want to give some love here. Nobody appreciates you for the $5. Says, and we've won those games, ? DC and AG even said the numbers don't matter. So why are we here discussing something that they've already acknowledged? And nobody, we appreciate it. I'm not going to just stop talking about it because AG and Dan said so. We're going to talk about the numbers, because the numbers to me, I have a different perspective. Of course, Dan and AG, I don't expect them to hear everything I'm saying and being like, you know what, Jeff, you're right, we can't win it. Of course, they should have the belief. That locker room shouldn't be thinking whatsoever we can't do it. And I'm not saying they're lying I'm not saying Anzo's lying or anything like that. I think he truly believes it. But from an outside perspective, and I'm glad we had a good conversation today. Boone, Lucas, Boone, you guys shared your points. I shared my points. I have more doubt than you guys. I think we all agree 14 of 17 in the red zone over the last couple of games won't be. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think they will get better. Because they have to. If you keep doing that, like you're, in my opinion, I'll speak for myself, you might run out of luck, and I don't want that to happen. I want the Lions defense just to hold, like you said, Boone, force a punt or two, let's get the turnover.
They just have to take a step forward a little bit.
Just a tiny, I'm not asking for, one of the best defenses of all time. We just need it to, he's got to be better. And honestly, I think this comment summarizes it very well with Alex Anzalone's impact. Anzo's 100% better than Germ. Love Germ. But Germ out there was tough. I'll say that. It was tough. Okay. Germ was getting cooked. Anzo won't be getting cooked like that. So we can agree.
Hey, there's these comments and listen, defense wins championships. Like we all know that. But I know like an AG pulled out some facts of like some teams offensively that averaged 13 points a game, 14, whatever it was, and they still went on to go win a Super Bowl with the great defense or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Why can't this team be like? Does it always have to be defense? Like, can you have a top 5 offense of all time in the NFL history and go out there and win because on their backs? Like, does it always have to be on the back of the defense? Like, no, this team's built this team's built differently than a normal team. Like, typically you see the Patriots. Patriots go out there defensively. Hey, boom, they're going to win a game. Tom Brady's going to play a very good, solid game. But like, just because it hasn't happened or just because you've only seen it once in a while, and the majority times it's the defense, this year you look at the NFL, there's no teams that just overbear and just stand over everyone. You're like, you have a top 5 offense of all time that could literally You guys are like, oh, it's crazy to think they can go out there and score 35, 40 points a game and win. They've been doing it. It's not crazy. Like, they could play a 4-game stretch scoring 40 plus and win a Super Bowl. That's not like crazy.
Every one of their games, I don't think, and I think you guys all agree, every game for the Detroit Lions is going to be a barn burner. A lot of points scored. And I think when you look at this personnel-wise, I mean, go around, we'll stay in the NFC, go around and name the great corners in the NFC right now. If you're going to match them up with the Detroit Lions, if you want to say Philly with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, put those rookie cornerbacks out there against Ben Johnson, James Williams. They're gonna cook. Like, those rookies aren't stopping them. If you want to go to Washington, because they'll probably be a wild card team because they have Marshawn Lattimore. I don't know if you boys watched Michael Davis when he was in LA, or even just last week when he was playing. Exposed. Like, around the NFC, there's no like standout corners. And then you look at the Lions, they have the best safety play. And if you're gonna be in shootouts, you love great safeties, and they have 2 great safeties and 1 good one in Ife Melifonwu. So you talk about him and Anzo coming back in the middle of that field. I think they have the personnel defensively. Jeff, to your point, 14 of 17 is terrible, but just how this defense is built, where they have playmakers to go with the points that they're going to be creating offensively. So because unless, like, if the Lions offense shits the bed, then okay, I'll give it to you. Like, the defense wasn't enough, but I just don't see that happening. It hasn't happened all year. So they have the playmakers to kind of go with the weaknesses of the other team in the NFC, because they're not stopping these wide receivers.
And this comment real quick, I know we got to move on, but it says, is the Vikings defense better than the current Lions defense? I would say yes. Like,
yes.
If they're a top 10 defense, the Vikings are. But guess what? They haven't dealt with like any major injuries that we have, like Lions have.
Yeah.
I just think like Lions offense to Vikings offense. Lions offense by a mile. Like, I know they might have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, TJ. Like, they have dudes, but like when you look at like the way the Lions, they're the number 1 offense in the NFL, averaging 33 points a game. And when you put it up there statistically, like maybe not even statistically, just watching versus other top offenses in NFL history, the things they're doing, it's unstoppable. You have one of the best running backs in the NFL, best tight ends in the NFL, receiving cores, the best offensive line, a top 3 quarterback currently right now playing at that level. It's like, I get it, but it's like, all right, you have to outscore us. And like, as good as their defense is, are they going to stop the Lions from scoring 30 points? Probably not. Like, I don't see it. As good as they are, who is doing that in the NFL? No one. I really don't see it. I know it's happened. I just can't see it right now the way they're playing at the level. Like, it hasn't happened since week what?
The Lions are 5-1 the last 6 times they've played, and one of those was when they were 10-1 or whatever they were.
They scored 24 versus the Colts, and that was just like such an outlier of a game. 23 versus the Bears. I just when they get in a rhythm and the way they've been playing, like you saw that stretch of football where they scored 42, 47, 31, 52. And then right now they're on a stretch of 34, 48, 34, 40. You just can't. They're playing at their best. It's like impossible to stop them. Some of the best defenses, like the Packers defense, is supposed to be good. Guess what? You're putting 30 plus on them.
I want to also say thank you to J-Rod. He said, "What's up, fellas? Happy 2025.
Happy New Year, J-Rod."
So appreciate you, J-Rod, for that, renewing that. But hey, we got a special guest. It is Wednesday, so therefore the
Thursday.
The DOC. I'm kind of. We're having this discussion about the defense. We love to get the DOC's opinion. Of course, you guys know who it is. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, the publisher, the man, the myth, the legend. As always, brought to you guys by BetUS, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how are you doing today? Huh? How was your new year? What's going on with you?
Happy New Year, fellas. It's a great 2025. I'm looking forward to another great year of interviews with you fellas. It's going to be a good time, man. And now it's crunch time for the Detroit Lions, baby. It's time for them to step up and win the biggest game of the year. I'm looking forward to it. How are you guys doing?
Feeling good, Doc. I'm pumped up. You know me over here. I'm ready to go.
We're fired up, Doc. We're having a conversation about and I love this is where we'll start. It's a great place to start. Anzalone, which you actually Doc he's asking the tough questions, which I love, and that's why I love you, Doc. Asking Anzalone, and Anzalone had a great response. Fans ate it up. Anyone who thinks this defense can't win a Super Bowl is just dumb, or that narrative's dumb, whatever the terminology he used. What do you think about him coming back and your confidence he plays and what his impact will be? But B, that comment about the defense not being enough, Doc. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, look, you got to ask him point blank. He's a defensive captain. He's sat now and observed the defense take a major dip without him. But you got to remember, football team is made up of 3 parts: offense, defense, and special teams. And so it's tough. You have to ask him directly, because I just felt like, people are talking about it. It's a question that Aaron Glenn was asked. And I felt like, look, in the end, the part where he says it's bullshit and I think it's dumb, of course he's going to say it. But the part in the middle was the most intriguing to me, because he said the most important thing, and it's been echoed by players and the coaches, they got to give up less points. And they haven't been as of late, but the offense has stepped up. So, yeah, the Bills game definitely is eye-opening. This is kind of where the narrative started to grow even more against a good team like Josh Allen, picked him apart a little bit. But with his return, I do think that if it's not this week, if it's in the postseason, the statistics bear out that the QB ratings go way down when Anzalone's been in the lineup. The QBR ratings have gone up, passer completion ratings have gone up, yards, points have all gone up. So it makes life more difficult for the offense when the defense is not playing as good. But the blessing for this Detroit Lions team is they have such a good offense that when they hit their peak, it's going to be just tough for anybody to stop the Lions offense. So I'm confident. I hope that Anzalone plays against Minnesota. You can check out Detroit Lions on SI. We wrote about what he said today in totality about kind of what he's weighing the risks, because, there is a risk that he could re-injure himself. And if he gets hurt against Minnesota or in the playoffs, if he comes back too soon, he's not going to play in the Super Bowl, something that he desperately wants to be a part of. So there's some things that kind of maybe lean toward maybe being a little bit more patient with Anzalone, because the team does play well on the road as well. But to me, this is a big football game against the Vikings. A lot of fans definitely want this football team to win at home. I am one personally that wants them to win, so I don't have to travel in January. It would be great to have a week kind of off where the football team can rest and everybody can just kind of not look at football for a moment. We can watch the playoffs and see who the Lions match up against. But whatever happens, in any 60-minute football game the Lions are part of, they have a chance to win based on the talent on the field as constructed right now. Is it going to be a lot more stressful in the postseason? Yeah, because a lot of the players that you're counting on defense are hurt.
Yeah, hey, Doc, I just want to ask you just defensively. Obviously, you already kind of went over it there a little bit, but my question is like the confidence level defensively, and especially we saw what Brock Purdy did with that secondary, and Terrion being a rookie, kind of having to step into that big time role as the corner one essentially, and then Amik moving. What is your confidence level with the secondary? I mean, even outside, really just the corners, because obviously you're going to go through this playoffs run, you're going to go up against elite wide receivers, and at some point it's going to have to, whether you give up all the yards, but in the red zone, you're going to have to get stops to get that done. Do you have the confidence level a guy like Terrion can take a step forward? I had a conversation with Jeff post game that I felt like some of these guys moving positions and Terrion getting that new spot, that it's going to take a couple games for them to kind of adjust and get better at and keep learning. Do you think they will? And do you think it needs to come sooner rather than later because of kind of the situation with the playoffs, like right around the corner, and then the Sunday night game that's essentially a playoff game?
Yeah, well, first, everyone's talking about the 49ers game, all the 49ers backup offensive linemen and Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense that didn't score a whole heck of a lot the last couple games. Then they lit it up against the Lions. Well, you say this, it happened mostly in the first half. And then once the Lions made adjustments, the second half, the defense clamped down a little bit more and were a little bit more playing Detroit Lions football. And the key is for this defense, whether it be Terry and Arnold or anybody in the secondary, what allowed the Lions to win against the 49ers? Yes, the great offense, but you win the turnover margin. And that's what Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, the players always preach is, hey, impact plays. What are those impact plays? Hey, when it's third down, you get off the field. When you need a turnover, hey, Kerby gets 2 of them. And that's what it's going to take. You don't need a whole handful. You just need a couple. And if you do give the football back to this Detroit Lions offense, I think good things are going to happen. Look, we're going to find out about Terry and Arnold because I do expect Sam Darnold to test him. I do expect any playoff team, the first thing that they're going to look at is to say, okay, let's test number 0. Let's see, what he's got, as well as whoever's playing opposite of him. I think that clearly what the Lions have shown on film the last month is the passing defense is not as proficient as it once was. Now, can they step up? I believe they can. To the degree we all want, probably not. I think that you're looking at, playoff games that are going to be north of 25 points each. And it's going to be a situation in which your offense has to, and I think you should lean on the offense. And guys, remember, I know this is Detroit and I love defense. You all love defense. The question that was posed to Alex Anzalone and Aaron Glenn is this defense good enough to help this team win? I think it is. Now, is it good enough to help them dominate and get 21-point wins like we'd all would love? Probably not. But at the same token, let's not disrespect the players that are on the roster on the back end as well. Anzalone will help. Look, he's not Ray Lewis, but I think that he'll come back in and definitely stabilize the linebacking unit. Jack Campbell can play his more natural position, doesn't have to worry about being in coverage against great tight ends and trying to figure out whether play action is going to happen or not and having to overcommit, all that stuff. He can be a little bit more natural and not having to kind of deal with all the complexities of that position. Alex Anzalone coming back will help. Hopefully David Montgomery coming back will help that offense. But you got Brian Branch, who needs to continue to kind of grow and get back to his, solid play man-to-man. You got all-world safety Kerby Joseph. I think when you look at it, yeah, the secondary will have more question marks, but Amik Robertson is gritty. Like, he wants to make plays. And maybe, one play he'll get beat, but the next play he'll be just there again competing. So I'm not terribly concerned about the defense. Number one thing I worry about is, okay, when it gets down in the nitty-gritty against good teams, the Lions look to run the football. Can they keep doing it? Can they keep pushing the football down the field? Because it gets a little bit tighter in the postseason. And then you got to worry about, just making sure that you clean up all the mistakes that you do make on offense, whether it be getting, long in the sticks, avoiding second down in long situations, third down, red zone stuff. But guys, this is the best time of year. And yeah, I think this is great to be talking about the defense. But first and foremost, I do think that the number one goal this team had was win the NFC and win the division title. If they don't play their best game, I would be surprised, because a vacation sounds good, and that's a motivating factor. And they've beaten the Vikings before. They know what it takes, and it's going to be a real good contest. But until otherwise, at home, biggest game of the year, it's hard-pressed, to see the Lions dropping this one. I just feel like this football team has the motivation to want to celebrate at home at Ford Field, that number one, earning that number one seed. But, man, you're right. It's the biggest question mark is going to be that secondary. But I do think in regards to Terrion Arnold, now or never. He's been built for this. Let's see what he's got in now the biggest games. Let's see if he can step it up.
And Doc, you talked about the Lions beating the Vikings before. Over the last 4 matchups, the Detroit Lions are 4-0. And obviously, when you talk about the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, they bring up the coordinators, Ben Johnson, Brian Flores. Huge part of all those games has been David Montgomery. Now that David Montgomery's not there, you kind of saw last week, Jahmyr Gibbs, especially in the red zone, wasn't out there as much. Do you think they were kind of preserving him for this game so it can be an all-out Jahmyr Gibbs game? Because if you go back and look, Jahmyr Gibbs against the Vikings, he tears them apart. There's usually one big highlight run, pass catch, whatever it is. He lights the Vikings up. So do you think they kind of lean back into that heavy Jahmyr workload this week?
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, man. Whew. Explosive runner. I do like the way the Lions typically, their philosophy of using running backs. They just kind of, want to keep them fresh for as long as possible. They do like what Craig Reynolds can bring to the table, and they like, making sure that the running back is in a certain range of their targets, right? But yeah, I don't think that they limit them. I think that they look at an opponent and they say, okay, how many, carries do we want to kind of allocate? Which percentage of plays are going to be passing plays? Which percentage of plays do we think Gibbs can win? And then you go with Craig Reynolds as well. But yeah, this is a great opportunity to showcase your talent. And that's why this is great, because X factors that can step up on offense, Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, if they take steps forward, and now you get Laporta, whose kind of offensive numbers are picking back up, man, it's just tough to say who's going to stop this Detroit Lions offense. This offense can single-handedly do some things. And I do think that Jared Goff, being that he's now having an MVP caliber season, so confident, man, what a great luxury to have in Jahmyr Gibbs. I do think that it's time to shine for Jahmyr Gibbs. And if he gets explosive runs, look out. It's going to be tough to bring him down. And the offensive line's confident. They like what they see in his ability to get to the second level. And I just think that that's always the key early on. When they look to establish the run, if they're getting 3-4 yards a clip, that's just going to open so many things up for St. Brown and J-Mo and everything like that. So I look for Jahmyr Gibbs to be an X factor, no doubt about it. And confidently we can smile and sit back and say, man, he can deliver.
Well, Doc, we kind of talked about it earlier as well. And the Pro Bowl, it's ridiculous. But the reality is players are going to use the Pro Bowl, of course, for contract negotiations. Obviously, if you're going to get in the Hall of Fame, it's not the biggest thing, but it does matter. What'd you think of Kerby getting snubbed? He won the fan voting, but coaches and players felt differently. What do you make of it? And how ridiculous is it that Tyler Huntley in 2022 made a Pro Bowl starting in like 4 games? As an alternate, I get that. And then last year, Amon-Ra was an alternate with like 1,500 yards, and they have Kerby missing the Pro Bowl this year. What do you make of the Pro Bowl and Kerby getting snubbed?
Yeah, first and foremost, can you believe Booner put out the fake tweet or fake post on Instagram about Kerby Joseph? Kerby would never.
Doc trying to start narratives here.
Disrespect Matthew Stafford like that. Booner, your credibility has to be number one at the top of your attention and focus. For you to do that,
don't do this, Doc.
To piggyback off of that and write that on a Detroit Lions on SI site, you have done some irreparable damage to Twitter, to the internet, and to the crunch time.
Why does Doc seem so serious
what
and real
you did
right now?
Now, granted, it was true, but I think you putting out that fake message was not appropriate.
You know what,
and I think you should publicly apologize for putting out that fake true message.
Doc, next time I see something with my own eyes, like Kerby Joseph putting that out there, I'm not letting anyone see it. I'm going to keep it for myself. No one's going to get the luxury to see what Kerby Joseph had to say to Matthew Stafford. I can't believe, by the way, Doc, how many people are I don't want to use the word dumb because it's just dumb, but how many people are just dumb and don't realize that like Kerby actually people are actually like, this is fake news. What are you talking? Like, you can't be that. They're like, they act like there's not a delete button on the internet. Like, you can't just delete something. It's insane to me. I was shocked by that.
I have a funny story regarding this whole thing with Twitter. That's why I act the way I act on Twitter. It's a weird place of conspiracy theories and people believing half the stuff they read and not believing. So here's the crazy part, okay? I preface this, and okay, I hate to ruin the bit because I may bring it back in a year or two, or maybe not. I put out a bit 3-4 years ago, and it was pretty regular. It was called DSP Text of the Day. It was clearly fake because Sheila Ford's not texting me. Kim Kardashian's not texting me.
Are you sure?
Chris Illich is not texting me. I would put DSP Text of the Day, put fake text on my Twitter page, and people would then go and react to it after I had said, this is clearly fake. One of the DSP texts of the day that was the most popular was Kim Kardashian landing in Detroit and asking me for Vito's phone number. And then people would just go and go away with it. So I acted a fool on there because half the people don't understand what they're reading. Half the people believe it, and half the people don't. So in my just humble opinion, I don't worry about my credibility. I don't worry what anybody thinks about it. I have fun in the playland that is Twitter, and it's fun to do. But yeah, in all seriousness, it was real. And the reason you can, confirm it is it's on the website. If it was fake, I am in the position where if I put up a story that is truly fake, somebody will tell me to take it down. It lives there. Nobody's messaged me. Nobody's emailed me. And I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it. And of course, when I saw Booner wrote it, I now you have to take a picture of it because people don't believe it. And there has been damage done with trust and all that. But the one thing I'll say for you, Booner, that's why I'm glad you took it the right way. Look, Booner is credible. No matter who calls him not credible, Booner is a credible person who understands how to put out information. Now, I can sit here and say you're not credible or whatever, but I will say this. Information, you follow who you trust and question things that you need to question. But when me, Booner, other sites post the picture of it, we're not trying to mess around and all put out fake information. You kind of go with repetition and who you believe. And it was real. and we can put that aside. I joked with Booner, but no, I don't want to put that out there. He is very credible. Now, the Pro Bowl, I don't really give a shit about the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean? I don't watch it.
There you go.
I think they can't figure out that, probably put that shit to bed. You know, the guys don't want to be there. They did flag football one time. They have these dumb competition games. They try to do corny sets in Vegas. I could give a flying F about the Pro Bowl. I watch postseason football. It's great. I got no time for that. It's great for me because, you know, the fans like to debate, you know, the snubs and all that. But the players don't care. They, like you guys have said earlier today, they care more about all pros and stuff like that. Yeah, it does stink and stings a little bit to see that, hey, coaches and players may not vote you, but good players use it as motivation. And look, Kerby Joseph's going to make a shit ton of money in his life. Whatever money he loses off of this stupid vote, he'll make up for in the long run. But it is interesting that he did push the F staffer. So that means in the short term, probably lost a little cash not getting to the Pro Bowl, but he'll make it up, no doubt about it. Look, I just think that for the Pro Bowl, you just recognize people, put them on a list and call it a day. I'm not watching it. Not a lot of people are watching it. It's one of the worst all-star games that's out there. So it's just another money grab for the league to get attention. And they mess with the timing, when it is, after the year, where it is. Look, I don't watch it. And I'm sorry if you're upset that Kerby Joseph didn't make it. It's interesting to discuss, but in the grand scheme of what I care about Kerby Joseph intercepting Sam Darnold this week much more than I do the Pro Bowl snub. It's an interesting story to read about. People like it, but to me, it's irrelevant.
But Doc, do you? And I was talking with Caleb today when we made a video. Do you believe it's because he mentioned this, and I was thinking more about it. I don't know if it's true or not. You have better insight on this. Do you think the narrative of him being a dirty player actually affects that, or no? What is that a real thing?
No, I look.
Even though it's fake, but
yeah. Well, Dan Campbell gave a little insight in that he said, based on how he views it, he only looks at film of when he puts down the vote of the crossover film, the players that he's watched. So there's a variety of reasons why certain coaches and players, and I'm sure one of them is a dislike of the Lions and Kerby Joseph, but I would say that there's a variety of reasons and not one single one involving why they probably don't watch. You know, coaches definitely are narrow focused on the teams that they play and stuff like that. So I would put out there that some of the coaches haven't even, you know, seen a lot of what Kerby Joseph has done other than saying, okay, he's got 9 interceptions, you know, but I just think that, you know, for whatever reason, it's, you know, a third vote fans did the job. They were right. You know, you got defensive player of the year candidate, but the players and the coaches, I'm sure there's a factor in there that there's a dislike of Kerby Joseph and his swagger and stuff like that. But in the end, the fans understood what's up. 9 interceptions. He's a great safety. He does what he does. He's a ball hawk. And listen, best way to describe him, he's the Chris Chelios of the Lions. You know, everybody remember how much if you remember how much they hated Chris Chelios when he played for the Blackhawks. You just hated his guts. Like you'd want to punch him in the face. Once he stepped on the ice for the Red Wings, you absolutely loved him. And that's just the way it's going to be, is that all the opponents, and that's what you love in a defender. All the opponents hate his guts, but you absolutely love him here.
Go ahead, Boo.
Hey, I was just locked into this Kerby thing. I'm sorry. I was on the internet still just scrolling through comments about the Kerby Joseph thing. Doc, I'm locked in over here. Hey, Doc, I didn't want to throw this out there, though. I want to ask you about AG. And I know we've been talking defense a lot. I just think, honestly, Doc, I know offensively what they're going to do. At least I'm confident enough. I just think defensively, that's the storyline. What do you think AG goes about? One thing that we saw on Sunday or Monday night was getting pressure in different ways with Iffy blitzing, Brian Branch, all these guys blitzing. Do you have any confidence whatsoever in kind of this defensive line as well, that they're going to be able to turn this thing up a little bit? Like Zadarius Smith kind of has been quiet a little bit the last 2 or 3 weeks. Has been nowhere to be found. Levi O, Josh Pascal, like we need guys to step up. It seemed like that second half, AG switched to what he did last year and said, "I'm sending everyone else. Like if you guys aren't going to help us, I'm gonna get other guys to help us." Do you think that's going to be kind of a way they can find success in the playoffs, or is that going to kind of just end at some point to where it's like, hey, that's going to be time's up? You need some pass rush from your defensive line.
Yeah, you need some. It's definitely, you hope that Darius Smith ups his game. Clearly he's not going to take over a game, but he had some pressures in the first half against the 49ers. You want to see more of that. Levi, Josh Pascal got to keep doing their thing, but you're absolutely right. I think that they got to find ways to generate pressure, and I think that enough to disrupt the timing. I don't know if the sack totals are going to return. I doubt it, but I think that if they can pressure the quarterback enough to force him out of his rhythm and to decrease the time he has, then that'll be enough. And I do think that an X factor will be a Fatu Melifonwu. I think that him staying healthy will be key. He can blitz. He can do a lot of things. Jack Campbell doing some things as well, can be moved around, the linebacking spot. So it'll be interesting to see. Muhammad as well has been doing some things along with Ben Neiman. So you're absolutely right. Everybody's just got to step it up a notch in the postseason. That's why that week off would be beneficial. I think you'd see a rejuvenated Darius Smith. I think you'd see a rejuvenated Josh Pascal, because look, everybody at this point in time is not 100%. No, they're good enough to play, good enough to be out there, but man, a rested Detroit Lions team at home, look out. But what will be crazy is, if this all shakes out, and by Sunday we'll know what the playoffs look like and the different scenarios and all that. Could you imagine if the Lions win and their next opponent is the Vikings again? It's possible. You could see them again in 2 weeks, and that would be crazy. But it would be fun to see a rejuvenated Detroit Lions football team taking on anybody at Ford Field.
Doc, I have a very, very simple question for you. If the Detroit Lions win on Sunday night, will Dan Campbell be Coach of the Year for 2025?
No doubt. I just think that with the way in which this football team has played, the manner in which they've garnered respect, you see the national audience embrace watching Lions game, 2 of the highest rated football games this year, Lions games. I think that will get everybody's attention. I do think that probably this is the Coach of the Year Bowl as well, Kevin O'Connell and Dan Campbell. And I just think that Dan Campbell, when you look at what he's done to bring the guys outside of the result, 14 wins, franchise record. Remember, and it's the more you say it, the crazier it is. I covered Matt Patricia the majority of his era and only wrote 13 wins, stories about wins 13 times in his 3-year tenure. So I got good at learning how to be a clickbaiting drama seeker and full-time troll over 4 years. Now, the fun part is, it's way better to write about wins and breaking down X's and O's and asking players, are you good enough to win the Super Bowl? That's what I've dreamed of. I don't want to ask about coaching hires or first-round draft picks or asking about tanking. I want to ask the players, are you good enough to look me in the face and tell me you're going to win a Super Bowl? Alex Anzalone said, yes, we are. Aaron Glenn said, yes, we are. That's all I could ever ask for is I looked the Detroit Lions linebacker captain and said, are you good enough to win a Super Bowl when people are saying you aren't? That's all I could ever ask for. So this is what competitive football team looks like. It's a winning team, 14-2, best season, best 4 months of my life. I don't want it to end. Eventually it's coming to an end, but I've enjoyed the ride thoroughly, start to finish. And if Dan Campbell gets this team to 15-2, number 1 seed in the NFC North champion, it would be crazy to not vote him the Coach of the Year.
Well, speaking kind of more of this Minnesota Vikings game, Doc, how do you, in your mind, I know it's Thursday, we're a couple days away from it. It's a huge game. I personally, I think it's going to be one of those games where you just bet the over and live with it. It's probably going to hit. What kind of game are you expecting on Sunday night between 2 explosive offenses? Coach of the Year, obviously you talked about it, but what's kind of been your impression of the Vikings this year? Is there some legitimacy to them, or do you think there may be a little bit of fraudulent team? Where are you at with the Vikings?
How do I see this game shaking out? Yeah, that's good. That's real good. And I do want to address Tour's point because it's always brought up in regards to journalists versus podcasters. Keep that there. I'll address that. It's interesting. I see a competitive football game. I see this game going down to the wire. I think the Lions offense is going to deliver. I think the Vikings offense is going to deliver. I mean, look, Spartan Dog, Naylor is going to bring it. I do think they're going to try to, and they've done it in the past, limit Justin Jefferson. I do think that'll be the plan, is to shade more attention that way. And it's going to be how well you get after Addison and Naylor, and then you got to stop the running game. And the Lions can do that. I think that the Lions are going to be hyper-focused. They know what's at stake. Ford Field's going to be a zoo. And I think the Lions are going to win this game probably in the neighborhood of like 30-27. I think that they're going to have the football last, and they'll give everybody a little bit of panic, but they'll close it out. Run the football. They'll do what they got to do. I hope there's not a lot of controversial decisions from Dan Campbell. That was my New Year's resolution for the Lions is don't put Dan Campbell in that position on third down. Just execute so that he doesn't have to be put in the fire and make those fourth down decisions. Just execute on third down, make life easy. But until otherwise, in the biggest of big games this year, I think the Lions have showed that they can step up and come hell or high water. Even if they get down in the first half, whatever happens, big plays, even if, Jefferson's doing the gritty in the first half, whatever happens those first 30 minutes, I think the next 30 will go the Lions' way, and we're all going to celebrate. I have to put that out there because I don't want to get on a plane. Now, I said this. I don't know if I said this here. I did, I think. Atlanta would not be bad, or maybe I said it on my podcast, Doc and Jock.
Lemon
Atlanta
pepper
would
wings.
not be bad because I would do a review of the Magic City wings, just for the wings, to check out the famous wings that have been highly touted by Atlanta athletes and all the world. If you know, give a live review of
Live.
Live.
All about.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know if I want to go out to LA or Tampa, but I just want to manifest. I want to stay home for January. The only travel I want to do is to go to the Super Bowl. That's the only thing I want to do in February is get out to the Super Bowl. So that's what I'm putting out there. Lions, 3-point victory for the Detroit Lions, and everybody celebrates. That's what you got to do.
Well,
And I can't wait to see this contest. It's a big game. I could argue it's the biggest regular season game for the Detroit Lions, and I just don't see them letting anybody down. Not at home, not prime time, not with Jared Goff, not with all that's at stake. I mean, there's so much motivation for the Lions that I just see them pulling it out. It's going to be great. Now,
Yep.
go ahead.
I was to say, Doc, they've been in big time games the last 2 years, and every single time, guess what? They've won outside of the NFC Championship game, like regular season, like even that Packers game to keep them out of the playoffs. Like any primetime big game, the Lions and Dan Campbell, they find a way to win it. Can I ask a follow up question? This is my next question.
Hold on,
do
Doc. You want to
address
respond to that one guy? Hold on,
Oh,
Doc.
if you wanted to respond,
real
Doc,
fast. It's just real simple.
Yeah, you want
to? A lot of people
let's see it.
kind of don't understand what it is that the job is of someone like myself. And so I thought over the year, I pretty much have, done things in a way that would allow most people to believe that what you're hearing out of my voice is real. Like, look at Rob Parker. The thing that he did, which was totally egregious, is he said that he wouldn't want Dan Campbell he thinks he's a bad coach. You've never heard a take like that from me. I've been direct. And so people conflate and they confuse. Just because I ask direct questions, that doesn't reflect what I think. It reflects that my job is to ask the questions that I know people want to know about. And how do I know that? Because I'm texting people. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? My job is to know the pulse. My job and expertise is to know the pulse of what people are talking about. And in turn, when the question's asked, it's then written about. So look, I hope that you don't think I'm a hot take. Really, truly, I truly don't believe that the majority of people that listen to me believe I'm a clickbaiting troll. Okay, because again, I've shared it 1,000 times and I'll share it again. And now I say it with more confidence because I have the numbers to bear it. I was hired because I cultivated a loyal audience. And with all the podcasts I've done, 4,000 of them, all the questions I've asked the Lions, all the crazy tweets I've put out there, I haven't lost any fans. It's only grown. Why is that? Because I've put myself out there to be authentic, that the things I say, I believe. Now, the things I say, if you're going to do this job, in my opinion, and you're not willing to ask a direct question of a player, that's tough. I'm sorry. I don't believe in doing it that way. We write it all. Good stuff, bad stuff, in totality. I wrote Aaron Glenn's answer. He said, we are no doubt capable of winning the Super Bowl. I write the other stuff, which is my opinion. Maybe I have concerns. So I believe that if you go to Detroit Lions on SI, you'll get a well-rounded view of the Detroit Lions, good, bad, and different. But the one thing that I just need people like Autor or anybody that calls me names to understand is I'm okay not fully giving 100% loyalty and just everything pro Lions. I'm okay with that. It's okay. There's going to be some things that you don't like. And if you're not willing to write those things, it's going to be hard pressed for you to have an interesting account. It's just boring. Then you're just, you just say everything pro Lions and there's nothing intriguing about it. The thing that makes the Lone Wolves podcast intriguing, and I hope myself intriguing, is I have a variety of opinions of a lot of things. And so I'm not Rob Parker. I'm John Maakaron. I do the job the best of my ability. And if you like it, great. But the haters get me paid. So it's really crazy, man. It's really crazy. Like I said, I've openly, publicly said I lie on Twitter. Openly said I lie on Twitter. And people still follow me. And because they know it's for entertainment. I've never been disingenuous. The first word on there on my Twitter page is entertainment. It's fun. It's a great job. It's sports. The stuff that you read is factual in nature. The shit that I post is all nonsense. It's all nonsense. Nobody's going to remember it. I hope you laugh. I hope you find it intriguing. But for some, I'm not your cup of tea. Go elsewhere. I don't care.
Yeah, Doc.
Talk your ish, Doc. Talk your ish.
Wait, Boone, you got a follow up? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I mean, I just had it's my question now, so I was gonna roll. It's my now. I've got the floor, Doc. No, I was just
because I know people from the outside want to tell me how to do the job. No, because it's. I understand. I respect all opinions. I respect people that say, "Hey, you're doing this, you're doing that." It's one thing to get a job. Yep. It's another to keep it. So I'm not humble bragging. I listen, remember too, I've only been doing this 6 years. I spent 39 years being the quiet guy, sit back. It's true. Nice guys finish last. By the time I hit 30, I said, I don't give a flying F what people think about me or say about me. And once I did that, sky was the limit. I opened up things I would never be willing to do. I started a podcast. If I listen to people, remember, the world told me that podcasts are crazy and stupid. And they looked down on it. The world said, oh, you're a podcaster. I stood up and said, no, this is media. This is the future. This is my way in. Remember, the world told me you're nothing. And I proved that with determination and being myself, I created the opportunity. So I don't want to be like coming off as someone that's bragging, but I just want to let people know that I want the credit for starting a podcast and earning an opportunity with one of the greatest sports companies in the world. And they like me, they respect me. And there are people that read it. There's enough of people of an audience that I've cultivated. And number one, the one thing I think, the other thing too is I'm willing to listen to people say the things that they want to say. I don't have to agree with it, but you will know that if you message me, I respond. If you have something to say, I look at it. I'm not above anybody. I am literally a person who enjoys being in the chat. But the one thing I want to be credited for is I'm an expert in what I do. I'm a good podcaster, great psychologist. I know how to run a sports website. So, you can think it's trolling, but I truly believe I write and deliver what you people want. I truly believe that because if you tell me to write it and I think people will read it, it's there. That's what I do. But now, is there going to be some stuff with some flair, some dramatics, some fun and entertainment? Sure. I don't want to be boring, but that's all I really want is to know that that's a real dude who cares about Detroit sports and put together a couple of projects that really worked. But I just don't want people to walk away thinking I'm a clickbait troll because it's not true. You can't be clickbait for 15 years. It's just not possible.
You're a legend, Doc. Hey, you deserve all the credit in the world.
And listen, too, I respect that you guys. I adapted based on you guys. I didn't say, oh, look at these internet guys. Oh, I'm an old school. I want to sit behind. My number one goal, too, you have to adapt. I wanted to be behind the scenes. I wanted to be a producer. I just wanted to say, hey, Booner, talk about this. Hey, Jeff, talk about this. I wanted to highlight others. I never wanted to be in front of the camera. But people said, hey, you're not terrible looking. You're not horrible. Go do videos. I said, all right. I stepped out of my comfort zone thanks to the three fellas that I'm talking to, and other people as well. I stepped out of my comfort zone based on what people wanted. And the more videos I posted, the more interaction I got. So I just I like the idea of discussion and banter about how people think the field is, because you don't know. I'm in the field and I'm telling you what works. So I hope you listen to it and maybe try it. Hey, water's warm. Join the fun. It's not that bad.
Warm.
Join the fun. Join the craziness.
Hey, I'm joining, Doc. I'm all here. Let's go. All right.
Let's go.
I'm gonna go. All right. From what we were talking about before, though, the you had brought up a little bit if they end up having to go on the road. That was one of my biggest questions, and I think someone actually tweeted at me today my confidence level for Sunday night, and I said, listen, I don't really care. Like, obviously, I want to win the NFC North and get the 1 seed. But whatever the kind of the outcome of the game is, to me, I'm pretty confident they can go on the road and win 3 games and then win the Super Bowl still. What's your confidence level? Let's say 1 through 10 on if they have to say go to LA, if they have to make those trips. Obviously they're 8-0 on the road, which is, best in franchise history. But the way they've won on the road is just they still keep dominating. Do you think they can do that in the playoffs if they have to? Knock on wood, if they end up not pulling it off on Sunday night.
Yeah, I like I said, the matchups are the fun part, right? What happens if they lose, right? Do you want to go out to LA and face Matthew Stafford? That would be great for me in my situation to have especially with the fake true post that Kerby Joseph put out there. That'd be great. But I mean, I'm intrigued by Tampa Bay as well. I do think that Baker Mayfield has an interesting story as well. But listen, the Lions, like I said, tough out no matter what. They're going to bring it 60 minutes. They're hungry. They're a football team that I think that until they show otherwise, it's a football team that, ultimately deserves the hype and praise of being in the Super Bowl. And let's break it down mano a mano, who they face, and give themselves a chance. I think they have as good a chance as any. I don't really personally want to go to LA, but I would love to knock off Stafford once at home, once to open the season, and once in his crib. Oh, I'd love that. It would be spectacular. But Atlanta's intriguing as well. You always want to face a young quarterback dealing with all that stuff for the first time. I think the Lions would easily dispose of the Falcons. I think the 2 tougher matchups would be the Bucs and the Rams, but they would be favored in all of them, and I have no doubt. The toughest part is when you get to the next rounds and you face the tougher opponents. I'm curious to see the Commanders, Eagles, those kind of scenarios in which this playoff bracket is going to shake out, man. It's going to be a fun play. This NFC is no joke. Winning the NFC is going to be an accomplishment for sure, and the Lions have as good a chance as any.
And to keep that chance going, Doc, they need to have Jared Goff playing at the level that he's at. Do you think Jared Goff, I mean, he's been playing very good over the course of the season, but I don't know if he's looked as proficient, especially with the pressure he's been under to keep this offense going as frequently as he has. Do you think Jared Goff is going to be able to keep this play going, obviously this Sunday night, but into the playoffs, or do you think we'll see kind of a disappearance and him kind of fading away the way he's been playing?
You're talking about, I'm sorry, the last part cut out. Jared Goff and what?
Is he going to keep playing at the high level that he has for the last weekend and into the playoffs? Yeah,
absolutely. Look, Jared Goff, man, what a story, huh? Jared Goff season, combination of, I didn't even think, of course I thought he'd play at a high level, but this is confident, making those throws, overcoming bad plays, bad calls. Man, it's just one of those deals where everything that we all hope for, he's done. Limited the turnovers, come back. Look, he's had a couple interceptions, but has always come back and led a touchdown drive. You just see the confidence and you're like, man, I don't think Jack Campbell is going to throw out the compliment of, I think that Jared Goff's the best pocket passer in the league if you didn't see it. The proof's in the pudding. The numbers are there. He's throwing accurately. That ball that he threw to J-Mo, my God, I think against the Bears, 55 air yards. Whew. And the connection can continue to grow with him, St. Brown. I just think that he's having an MVP caliber season. Probably won't win it based on the accolades of, Josh Allen and the others in the league. But man, it's fun to watch when quarterbacks play at that level. It really does make you understand that, and he talked about it a little bit in his last media session. What is happening in college and early parts of the league is not really effective for quarterbacks. Just throwing them out there to the wolves like a Caleb Williams and having them be dissected like that. There's something to say about quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, who sat a little bit, learned, and kind of get acclimated the way the Lions are doing with Hendon Hooker. There's something to say for that maybe you don't just wash away a quarterback that struggles with his first team, that maybe the idea is there that, hey, to get the most out of a quarterback is maybe in college, change the way you develop and kind of put a little bit more in a quarterback's hands. Let them call plays, let them run a huddle. And then when they get to the league, maybe let them sit a little bit and get some experience and learn. And then if they do struggle, to be a little bit more patient, to understand that it takes an offensive line, a good OC, good play calling, and some patience. Because look what Jared Goff has. You see the formula for success: decent offensive line, solid offensive weapons, and a quarterback that understands and has ownership of the offense. That's the biggest thing. Jared Goff has ownership of this offense. He can make calls, check calls, and he has a full understanding and trust of Ben Johnson. And it's a great thing to see. And first and foremost, it started with confidence from Brad Holmes, because maybe a lot of people after that 3-win year might have said, Jared Goff's not the guy, and just started a young quarterback. Nope. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have always said about Jared, we want this guy to run our offense. And right now he's repaying, Jared Goff is repaying the loyalty with a lot of great play. I would be surprised if his play dips now and I do think he's hungry. I think he, secretly does like to read and hear about all the shit that was talked about him, and the chip on his shoulder is real. And I do think that he wants to, wash away not only the stench of what people thought about Sean McVay, but the stench of that Super Bowl loss. People blamed him for that loss in totality for only scoring 3 points. I think he wants to prove people wrong.
Doc, I did want to ask you, because I made a video probably, I would say, what was this transaction? Maybe a month ago, when they brought in Jamal Adams. And my big thing with Jamal was, is he what he was? Absolutely not. But I did believe Aaron Glenn would get something out of him, know how to utilize him. And honestly, I think I know he's even worse than I thought he was. And I was wrong, completely wrong. What do you make of the Jamal Adams experience and them waiving him officially? Like that, it's over. What do you make of that and kind of his play? Because it seems like it's been nothing but negative.
No, I think the Lions were honest with him. I feel like they gave him an opportunity, but at the same token, he was brought in as a fill-in along with Quan Alexander. He had a battle and the play wasn't there. I mean, his speed is, drastically altered. And I think that, look, what the Lions do is they're honest with their players. And I don't think they sold him false hope. I don't think they said, hey, you're going to come out here and take over Alex's job and Jalen Reeves-Maybin's job. I think that they gave him an opportunity to see what he had. And it kind of showcased a little bit why, he's kind of bounced around a little bit and was out of football for a minute. And I just think they needed someone that was a recommendation of Calvin Shepard from the LSU days. And they felt like, okay, if we get anything out of him special teams wise, someone that can practice, be a vet, maybe a little bit of knowledge to Ben Neiman and Trevor Nowaski, a little bit of something in the room. Okay, no problem. Then you can get something from the veteran. But I don't think that his getting waived was a massive surprise. I think that it was a numbers game. And I do think that he probably was aware as well that, outside of spectacular play and really shining in the opportunity that he had, I think that he probably knew his run potentially was going to be short term. He had a chance to compete. I think the Lions gave him that chance. And then when Reeves-Maybin and Alex Anzalone are on their way back, you realize that you're getting, and look, the Lions, what's fair about them is they give opportunities and they want you to compete. If there's no false pretense. And I think that Neiman and Mohammed have a little bit more of a leg up along with Quan Alexander. And I think that in the end, you realize that Jamal Adams probably is time to hang it up.
Yeah, Doc, I want to ask you this question, at least for my thought process. I would like to know one player, and you could go offense, D. I just want one player. We actually haven't asked you this probably in a long time. We've done this a few times, but who's like just a quiet guy that you think will have a big game on Sunday night that typically, I'll give you an example. Trevor Nowaski type player. I know the fellas love that one. But who's a guy that you would just say, hey, watch out for him. He's going to have a big game and he's going to stand out a little bit in the end, like someone that no one would expect.
Yeah, look, the Lions have a lot of guys that people write about and are learning about. Look, you know, a lot of the skill players are going to be on offense. Look, I do think Tim Patrick has a chance to have a big game. People always talk about him, so he's not unsung. Probably the more surprising side would be defense. I think that Mohammed, number 69, I believe, is a player that knows the system, is sneaky around the football, and the more opportunities that he gets, he's around the football. So look for him to kind of get opportunities as well. Look, I like this football team. I like, you know, what Ben Neiman's been doing with his opportunity. I do think that the linebackers have a chance to play a little bit better. They got torched a little bit in the play action. They were pursuing heavily in that first half, and I do think they can rebound. It'll be intriguing to see if Alex Anzalone plays because it frees up things a little bit more. Trevor Nowaski's solid. I just think he's a good role player, does a lot of good things. It's going to be intriguing to see. Sometimes unsung heroes do step up, and you hope maybe it's the offensive line. You hope Levi and Josh pick it back up. But like I said, it's tough because I feel like a lot of the guys are talked about in an NFL locker room, some more than others. But I do think that the Detroit Lions, as a team collectively, man, it's a good group. And I think that, you know, to me, I just think that it would be great for this game for a guy like Amik Robertson, who I think is just always around the football, always punching the ball out. He's not a guy that's more quiet because he's definitely a talker and stands up in front of the media. But I do think that he can have a lot of big impact in this defense. You know, he gets underrated because of his size and people overlook him. And yeah, there's going to be some times he gives up plays, but he's always there. He's competitive. Yeah. And he loves the fact that the Lions brought him. They love the fact that he can compete. He felt like the Lions could develop him the best. And he's got that alpha mentality, even though his size and stature don't dictate that. But he's got the personality to believe that he can do it. And that's the start. You know, you're going to have a lot of people that always tell you you're not good at this or you can't do that. It's the people I gravitate toward, those people like an Amik Robertson, where everybody, you know, I can almost stand and look him in the eye. That's, you know, he's not a big, tall individual, but he's a hustler and he wants to prove people wrong. He wants to compete at the highest level. And I respect that. So, you know, I hope a guy like that gets more attention because, man, he's done a lot of good things with his opportunity. Even when he got thrown outside playing opposite of Terrion, he's done pretty well.
He played well last week, Doc.
Not too bad, not too shabby.
And Doc, it's something that doesn't have implications on this game specifically, but looking forward, it definitely will impact the Detroit Lions, is the conversation between Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. And I know I kind of spoke on it with you a couple weeks ago, but now we just saw the Minnesota Vikings. They're now 14-2. The Detroit Lions are 14-2. If you're sitting in Minnesota right now, what do you think is the right move going forward between Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy, or how would you handle Sam Darnold this offseason?
Well, first and foremost, I'm biased. I hate J.J. McCarthy. I hope he gets traded to the Jets. No, I'm kidding. I let out my Spartan bias real fast.
Crazy,
there.
Man.
Hope I wasn't trolling. Real
comment.
Fast, just to those that say, the reason why just those couple minutes on each show I talk about myself is I'm not lying. Anytime, I don't know who's in the chat in full. I always feel like every interview is a chance to earn one new fan, and that's what I'm willing to do. Is to try and earn even one fan that listens to me. That's it. That's all I'm trying to do. I am, you know, in real life, you know, outside of all the on-air hilarity, I am more down to earth. This is a little more like, if you know, I'm a wrestling fan. This is an amped up version of me, and I get to do it. It's great. But that's what I really hope to do in some of these interviews is just, hey, come check me out. I think, you know, out of 10 people that visit, 7 will stick, in my humble opinion. You know, JJ McCarthy, it's a nice dilemma, right? But I mean, look at that scene that happened, and it's a beautiful psychological scene. You have Sam Darnold beating the Packers, right? You got his coach in the corner, and you got the, you know, running in with the water being doused on him. His teammates hold him up, and the number one thing as a quarterback is to earn the respect of the boys, and you got to pay them. I just think that it would be a shame if you cultivate and you resurrect the career of Sam Darnold. You have a nice relationship with the coach. You see I think it would be damaging. And you don't have, I know people say, well, you just got to trade JJ. I think that JJ can sit another year, 2 years. and learn from who better than to learn from a player that's winning on the field. The number one goal of football is to win. And what better way to learn than to sit back if you're JJ and you're only 22, 23 years old. I think that you don't have to start until you're 25, 26, get handed over the reins. I think that, would I pay? Now, the question mark's always going to be, and everybody's different. But to me, and I've asked myself this, I'm never going to get that opportunity. But if it was ever presented to me to say, hey, John, you can make $60 million and we got to wipe away your offensive line, I'd be like, you're offering me 60? Okay. No. What I would do is I'd say, no, I don't need all that. I couldn't spend that. As many Magic City places I would go to, I couldn't spend that. I'd say, hey, most important to me is making sure the team wins too. So I would take, probably the number would be good for me is 26.5 million over 10 years. So give me 10 years, 260 million guaranteed. 26.5 is perfect. I can spread it across, and then I can have an offensive lineman be taken care of. I can get a stud and keep Justin Jefferson happy. I don't need to break the bank. I don't need to be the guy that takes all the money. Remember too, that's the other thing about me that's cool is in the journey that I've had, I've worked with a lot of people and I've been loyal to every single one of them. And they'll tell you that. Loyal to everybody I've ever worked with. I've never dismissed anybody, ever. And I never will because I'm a nice guy. But you would be crazy if you're the Vikings coming off of a 14-win year. I mean, how do you sell that to the fan base? If you're a Minnesota fan, it'd be like basically in the end, it'd be like, last year after the Lions lost in the NFC title game going, we don't trust you anymore. Hendon's time. Now, I don't know if some of the fan base would have liked that. I don't know. But I think that you owe it to your fan base to put out a winner. And Sam Darnold's probably going to command, I would say, $50 million a year. But if you're Sam, you got to go to the organization and say, hey, I don't need that. I need a little bit less and keep Addison, Naylor, keep these guys around so that I can keep winning.
Hey, Doc, before I want to get to at least just this comment here, and he asked it earlier, and I know you talked about Terran Arnold, but Jimmy says, Doc, is Terran Arnold a bust so far? It's been 16 weeks. Has he made a single play all season? You can respond to Jimmy. Answer Jimmy's.
Yeah. No, it's listen, guys. There's no way I can sit here after one season and call Terran Arnold bust. That's just not gonna happen. I see a competitor. I see somebody that's learning on the job. And remember, too, playing press man corner. This is not easy. Remember, the advantage is to the offense. The leverage is to the offense, to the receivers. So, look, I think that if Brad Holmes scouted and Aaron Glenn scouted, remember, they didn't draft too many defensive backs. They waited. If they scouted and they said, hey, this is the guy that's got the mental makeup, you owe it. It just takes time. It's just like the quarterback discussion. Now, it's different. Jeff Okudah, there were signs. Like, he was slow. He was clearly didn't show the necessary things to be able to play man coverage. He just didn't. You didn't see it. Terrion has that. He's made plays. He made a play in the end zone recently. Early on, he was, learning his way and trying to break bad habits. It's been, I would rate his season C+. Now, I love that you guys have bigger expectations for a first rounder, as you should. It's not a bust. It's a product of, hey, here's everything. Like the Lions didn't coddle him. Here's all the man coverage you got to learn, all the zone coverage you got to learn. Here's all our cover 3, cover 2, cover 0, all the things you got to learn. Guys, it's not easy. It's not like they just go, hey, here's one little thing at a time. They throw the whole thing at you and good luck to you. And it's going to, listen, the time to discuss that will be next year. If next year you don't see plays more consistently, then you can start to even entertain that discussion. But right now, let the kid develop. Don't get to the point yet where you're calling for him to be a bust. That's not fair, especially in a situation now where he's called upon at this point in time to be basically the number one.
That's fair. And
too early.
We've seen corners struggle their rookie year as well and kind of rebound from that. So it is what it is. But we appreciate you, Doc. Hey, and by the way, we love you. And you said some kind words about us, Doc. And
you're a legend, Doc.
We appreciate your presence. I make sure to say that every because we really do appreciate your time. I know you say like, thank you guys. No, thank you, Doc, for coming on. You've been consistent.
Doc.
By the way, for people that don't really like acknowledge this, Doc does not miss a fucking week.
No.
The only week Doc missed was a honeymoon, which was justified.
Anniversary.
Don't get Doc on the
Anniversary, excuse me. Which was justified, but other than that, Doc's always here. He's always shows up. He brings the energy. Doc, we love you, and continue to do some great work. Check out the Doc. Link will be in the description. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. And Doc, honestly, good luck this weekend, my man. Going to be a great opportunity for Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Huge game, and we appreciate you joining the program as always.
Of course, I appreciate you guys. Remember, like me, don't like me. You'll always have an avenue to interact with the guy bringing you the coverage. I ask anybody else. Who's more interactive? If you message someone, tell me they interact with you. Tell me they acknowledge what you say in the chat. I respect you guys. I am one of you. That's the only thing I really want. I am one of you. You'll see me in the chat. I comment. I am that person. And like I said, you guys have given me the platform to speak and be myself and go off on tangents and say whatever. But number one thing is we're all part of the Lions community, and I'm just a small part of it. But I just want the truth to be told. That's all. The fake news truth. Maybe I'm a good guy. Maybe I'm a bad guy. Maybe I am a troll and I don't even know it. But come along for the ride. Why not? You know, listen, Jeff puts out fake true news. I may put out fake true news. And the fun part is I think you'll laugh when you come visit at Detroit Podcast. That's really in the end all I'm trying to do. Have a good time with it. Enjoy it. Let's have a kick-ass 2025. Go Lions. Lions #1 seed. Let's kick ass and let's have a good 2025, fellas. Let's go.
There you go. John Maakaron, the Doc.
The Doc.
Program, crushing it as always. Look at him, man. He's gone. It's just, and as always, brought to you guys by BetUS. So check them out as well. There you go. The Doc every Wednesday. I mean, the guy's consistent. He brings it.
Doesn't miss.
Just can't hate on it. Caleb said, Mailbag, did Booner jinx my NBA parlay by taking a leg out of it?
Let's not do that because, listen, because all right, I'm going to set a standard really fast. Do you want me to set a standard?
I'm intrigued.
If someone starts sending parlays saying, hey, what do you guys like? If someone says, hey, I don't like that play and doesn't take it, that's not jinxing. That's being honest. We can't start that, hey, if someone doesn't like a play, they have to take it. We're not doing that. Caleb's got a lot to learn. I have a lot to teach.
No, Caleb. I'm with you, Boone. Caleb, when I didn't like the Amon Ra. I didn't like the Amon Ra yards early in the year. That's why I changed it. All right.
But you didn't. The thing is with you is you didn't say anything. You just did it, and then at the end you're like, "Hey, boys." The thing is, you have to say before the game. You have to say, "Hey, I don't like that. I'm not taking it. I just don't like it. I'm not going to ever put my money in a position to lose just because it's like, hey, boys, I liked it." Like, no, hey, Anthony Edwards scored 20 plus points in like 3 of his last 20 games, and we're going to take him 25.
No, he's done it more than that.
I literally sent the stat, whatever it was. It was like 3 of the last like 11 games. He hasn't even close game. He had like 20. Like it's like
25.
Yeah, go look. Just because he's averaging 25, I'll pull it up right now. Hold on. Well, let's do this for the people. No. And just
you're going to be like, he scored 18, 21.
Jeff, you put a bet on for 25. Let's look at the games he's played. Hold on. And tonight he had like 6 points. This isn't a joke. Pull it up for the people real quick.
For people that, by the way, for people that don't know what's going on, Caleb said to parlay for the boys.
Pull it up for the people.
And we put it in. Booner just didn't like a leg. He didn't like.
I said, hey, I'm not putting my money on that.
Booner didn't like a leg, so he changed it, and it didn't hit anyway.
I still lost. Yeah, I mean, no. Listen, if I don't like a leg, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to secretly. I'm not going to secretly be like, yeah, boys, I'll take it, and then I'm behind your back, change one leg, and then after and you guys lose, I'm like, hey, I actually won because I took it off. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. I'm gonna be honest about it. Look at this. Caleb gave out Anthony Edwards 25 points. 20, 14, 24, 26, 16, 19, 17, 26, 23, 27, 30, 16. The man hit it 1, 2, 3, 4 times in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games tonight. He hit it 4 times in 15 or 16 games. Why would I put my money on a parlay?
He's due.
It was not due. He just has been playing bad.
Argue.
No, man. I'm honest with people, and Caleb. I have some betting things to teach Caleb here. Some etiquette here. So those questions don't get asked anymore. Those ridiculous questions.
Booner, I respect you actually telling me about replacing a leg. I can't imagine someone ever doing it behind my back.
That's exactly my point.
Oh, now it's the picking and choosing.
No, you're just trying. Klotz, you know what Jeff's doing right now, right? He's trying
I
to make
prefer to
his.
stay out of this one, Boone.
He's trying to make
I'm
his mess
trying to.
up.
You know, Booner,
so he can take the heat off himself.
Booner,
Maybe you should man up and just take the heat,
hey,
huh?
I was with you. You made an enemy. Now
Maybe you should
know
man
what?
up. No, because you know what's
you.
going to happen tomorrow. You're going to text me and be like,
I was
Booner, I need a
defending
lay.
you.
Booner, I need a lay.
You know what, Caleb?
I gave you like 5
You know what,
winners this
Caleb?
week.
It is fucked up what he did.
How many winners did I give you this week? Like 5 of them. You have to. No, I've won you a lot of money in the last 7 days.
I gave you something. All right.
What?
Jahmyr Gibbs TD plus 6 something.
Okay. Besides that,
Bro goes okay.
You can't diminish that.
But you're acting like I don't give you. I give no.
Right,
that was a great play. I give you your credit for that. But you're acting here. You're like, you made an enemy, buddy. I've given you a million plays that were winners. What are you talking about, an enemy?
What does that have to do with the enemy? I'm saying with me and now the Caleb thing. I'm saying with this situation.
You guys do that. That's why I was mad, because you're trying to use you're trying to use your situation into my money. I'm not letting.
Hey,
listen,
some would say it's similar. Some would say
it's not similar at all.
Hey, that guy up north says WSN Slappy's refusing to admit Darnold has had a good year. So cringe. Trust me, I hate the Vikes, but Darnold has been very good.
Darnold's had a good year.
Yeah,
dude, he's had a great year.
Very
Sam Darnold has not proven to be consistently a top 10 quarterback throughout his career, but he's playing like a top 10 quarterback right now.
You can have the conversation that we had, and maybe it's Kevin O'Connell that's doing it for him, and the weapons he has, yes, but that doesn't mean he has not having a good year. Still is having a good year.
Hey, Patrick said, my fun one, JJ over yards, Amon-Ra over receptions, Addison and JMO over longest reception, Gibbs first TD, Laporta and Aaron Jones TD.
Is JJ McCarthy playing?
Justin Jefferson.
I'm playing. That was a joke.
Oh, okay. All right. That was a good one. I didn't get it. I actually genuinely thought you were saying JJ McCarthy for a second. Yeah.
He didn't secretly.
25 plus 25Ks.
That's insane. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you want to go put it in, you never know. Put $1 on it. What's that? What do you win off that? If you put $1,
25. If it's plus 25,000, I don't know.
2,500 or no, 250.
$250.
Put $1 on it. Put $5 on it. I actually don't hate a lot of those legs, but whatever. Wheezy D 313, Jordan Love and Stroud got the crown immediately, but Darnold got a scratch and claw for respect. So much hate, or shaking my head. Yeah, I get that point for sure. Like Darnold,
I still do.
He's not. I don't think. I think Jordan Love's regressed. I think Darnold's had a better year than Jordan Love. You see it in the matchup when they faced off. He was by far the better quarterback. So I get that.
I think there's something legitimately, and Klotz will probably laugh at this, but it's not with wide receiver. I think with quarterbacks with Kevin O'Connell, like Kirk Cousins, like you see his play. I know he's coming off an injury, but you see his play in Atlanta, gets benched. But Sam Darnold, like if you put Jordan Love in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, I think Jordan Love's playing a way better than he is in Green Bay. And Klotz, you're making that face. It has nothing to do with the receivers. I'm saying it's the quarterback play. Because again, the argument with that was Justin Jefferson can go on any NFL team and do what he's doing.
How many
Sam Darnold can go on any NFL team and do what he's doing? No, that's not. But he is playing at a very high level. He's a Pro Bowler. He should be a Pro Bowler in the NFC. Definitely should be. Who are you taking over Sam Darnold as a Pro Bowler this year? Someone tell me.
Jared Goff.
No, Jared is a Pro Bowler. I'm saying out of the guys who didn't get picked, Jaden Daniels is picked as well. Who else would you have been Pro Bowler?
No, he should be. I'm fine there. I'm just baffled at the comment you just made. But
I think quarterback play for Kevin O'Connell, he makes a difference. Wide receiver wise, like
how does quarterback play?
Maybe somebody
how do you have a great quarterback system but not a great wide
People don't know this. People don't know this argument. We're not getting into this. I can't believe that just came up. No,
hey,
no.
I'm glad you.
By the way, did you hear Dan Campbell on Kevin O'Connell and that system and what he does with the weapons and stuff? He talked about that actually. He's saying obviously Justin Jefferson's like the man, but he said what Kevin O'Connell does schematically, and he was complimenting them, getting these playmakers. So it's not. I get. Hey, Dan Campbell he's gotta give him some credit there. Anakin said, Mailbag, did any of you guys win any fantasy football leagues? No, I took third in ours, I think, or third or fourth.
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm in a battle with Nick. Shout out Nick, man. I'm down going into the final week. It's a two week playoffs. I'm down, I think, 60 for the championship. And then honestly, there's another league I was in, and the last players I had was actually Amon-Ra and Jared Goff. I didn't even. Oh, I won. I think I won. This is me finding out I just won a championship. Let's go, boys.
Come on now.
Unless there's another week. Unless there's another week, I don't think there is. Shout out my cousin. His friends from high school, he had texted me and said, hey, do you want to play in this league? It's a dynasty, and you have to keep like 20-something players. And I took someone's team over, and it wasn't the best team, to be honest. Like, I had to go scrap for players. I didn't read my team right now. Jared Goff. Klotz, I won. Hey, Rico Dowdle was my RB1. Jonathan Taylor, on and off. Zay Flowers, wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Travis Kelce. Jerome Ford. Jerry Jeudy. Brandon Aubrey. I had Trevor Lawrence, Blake Corum, Nick Chubb, Trey Sermon, Keon Coleman. I had a squad where I was like, good luck this week. Like, if I had a guy out, I was like, oh, here I go. And I don't know how I won, but it looks like I won. I don't know, unless there's another week, but.
I want to get to two more questions. One from that guy up north, one from Shiftgod. Shiftgod says, Mailbag, does J-Mo crack 1,000 yards versus Minnesota Sunday night? Yes, he does.
Yeah. Needs 30 or something like that?
Dude, he's cracking. He's been balling. Led the Lions in receiving the last 2 weeks, by the way. That guy up north, Mailbag, any early draft prospects, targets from you guys yet? If you aren't on condition to be tuned into the draft at all yet, I know you are a new Lions fan. Yeah, I'll say this. Positions, yes. Some players I do like, but I'm going to be honest with you, that guy up north. The regular season is a grind. I watch college football, and there's guys I like, but like last year, the coverage we'll have, which we will have in-depth coverage here.
Yep.
Like having scouts on. We're going to the combine. It's going to be a lot of coverage. It's going to be. I look forward to it. I love the draft. But if I'm telling you, if I have a list of prospects, not now. I don't. I know what the Lions should do in the first round. Personally, now Brad's going to do his thing, but I think you have to take either your future replacement for Decker or you're taking a defensive lineman. That is like it in the first round. And I honestly am looking at the tackle class. It's not like there's some guys that'll probably be available where the Lions are picking that are pretty good, but I would go edge personally. But in targets, if I'm being honest with you, I got up north. I'm going to wait another month before I get into that. Hey, we don't got the time right now to be dialing it. I can't wait for it though. It'll be fun.
It'll be Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. Bring him home.
Donovan Jackson. Mm-hmm. That's who they kicked out to tackle. Did he play tackle at all this year?
Yeah, he's that little swing guy they had out there.
Gotcha. I know. I got you.
I'm with you though. You got to go up front, either side of the ball. I don't care.
Weezy D said, I might need Frank's replacement over Dak. I'm sick of my season relying on a toe. I think they'll take a center, but I don't think it'll be in the first round. Probably second, third round. Yeah. Well, they don't have a third round pick, right? So fourth.
I do not believe so.
Second or fourth round pick.
He'll trade up.
Yeah, probably.
Brad's moving. Always
probably.
Does.
Yeah. I think they got their future guard in Christian Mahogany. Honestly, I really believe that. So at least you got that guy North says
it's crazy. He's a 6th round guy.
Yeah. But if you can lock him up, then you get another guy up there.
Wait, did Klotz just throw out an
Ohio State? Yeah, I said Donovan Jackson's one of the highest rated offensive linemen, period, in this year's draft, and he's going to fall because he's a guard.
Yeah.
Trade up and get him.
Give me Mason.
You get him and Mahogany for the future. You get those guard spots locked up. You got Panay right there.
Mason Graham, that dude.
Come on now.
He's going to be top 5, though.
Dude, he'll for sure. You might honestly, Boone, you might have 2 Michigan players in the top 7, honestly.
Talk to me. Love that.
I think Will Johnson and Mason Graham go high.
You could have 3 top 10 with Kenneth Grant, too.
Yeah, they got some dudes coming out. That defense is going to have a lot of great players. Ball don't lie. Mailbag. How early would Jeremiah Smith go if he was eligible? Top 2, 3, I think.
Who has the number 1 pick? The Giants don't. I'm trying to think.
Right.
The Patriots. I think it's the Patriots.
Yeah, they would probably.
You would go number 1 overall, probably. I don't, especially because it's who this quarterback class is. Like Shedeur and Cam Ward are definitely both not like lock. Like, oh, they're for sure going to turn around your franchise. Like, there's definitely question marks in both of them. Jeremiah Smith at 19 years old is a probably top 15 wide receiver in the NFL.
I agree. Yeah, I earlier we had the conversation. I personally liked him better than Ryan Williams, even though I think Ryan Williams is really like very, very good. Very good. But Jeremiah Smith, dude, he's special. I actually don't hate that take. He'd go number 1. I was trying to think like, trade to like 2 to get like a quarterback, like make them think you're taking but I don't know. But the Pats have it, so it doesn't even make sense. They want a wide receiver. So yeah, I'm with you. Take him 1. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Like if there was a Caleb or a Trevor Lawrence, or I'm trying to think of even somebody like a Drake May, even like I could see them going, but they're not the quarter. This was such a weak quarterback class.
All right. We'll end the show here. Appreciate you all, man. Great show today. Appreciate the doc. Appreciate you too, as always. And don't forget, check out the content all on the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms as
by the way,
kind of see above. And
I will not be here tomorrow, so all of my score predictions and everything, I'll be on the pregame show Sunday.
Boom.
All of that. I'll everything. I'll have, keys to victory, all of that Sunday at whatever was it, 5:00, whatever we do the pregame.
Yeah, we got fight night. Me and Klotz, the main
Klotz versus Jeff Friday night.
Fucking
prime time.
Stephen A. Disrespectful.
Yeah. Max Kellerman, Stephen A. I'll give you Stephen A.
You can be your hero. You're the Max fan. You're the Max fan here.
He shredded Stephen A. a lot of times.
Come on. Come on.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Cool, boys. Let's
Appreciate you all. Have a great night. Stay safe.
Love you guys.
And get your merch. Peace.